It's been the Ferrari show so far in this triple header in Austin, in Mexico, but now we arrive here in Brazil as we get ready to go racing at Interlagos to end of this triple header, and this motorsport facility never fails to disappoint in terms of good racing. Unpredictable weather, the track's also resurfaced. This is going to be a very interesting weekend. It's round 21 of this championship as we go sprinting as well, and it is going to lead us on to a 2-week break, and then on the third week we will go racing in Las Vegas on the 21st to 24th November. Then it's our final sprint weekend. It's the penultimate round of the season in Qatar, and then Abu Dhabi is where we will hopefully see a champion crowned. Max Verstappen is in the lead of that championship. He's got 362 points, 47 points back as Lando Norris. If he wants to win this championship, it all starts right here, right now, in the sprint weekend in Brazil. Charles Leclerc in third, Oscar Piastri is in fourth, then it's Carlos Sainz, Lewis Hamilton versus George Russell is going to be an interesting scrap near the end of the season as well. Perez in eighth, then it's Alonso, Hülkenberg, and Lance Stroll rounding out the first page. Yuki Tsunoda for Ricardo is in 12th. Then it's Kevin Magnussen, Alexander Albon, Daniel Ricciardo, Pierre Gasly, Oliver Behrman, who's raced twice this season, one with Ferrari, one with Haas. Colapinto continues to perform incredibly well. He's in 18th. Ocon, Liam Lawson trying to prove himself. And then you've got Joe, Logan Sargent, and Bottas also trying to fight for his seat, hopefully trying to retain his seat at Kick Sauber for next year. The Constructors arguably is going to be even more interesting. McLaren may have the lead. A few off weekends for Oscar Piastri has meant that Ferrari have really closed in as they have been getting 1-2s and 1-3s so far in this triple header. How will they get on this weekend? Well, we're going to find out very, very shortly. But they are in second place. Then it's Red Bull in third. Mercedes, Aston Martin, Haas, Ricardo, Williams, Alpine, and Kick Sauber are the only team to not score a point.
Let's take a look at the Autodromo Juan Carlos Palace as well. 2.667 miles, 71 laps ahead of us as well. 15 corners. In the dry it's challenging, in the wet it's unbelievable. This is a fantastic race. It's important to get a good run out the last corner then as you run uphill towards turn number 1 and 2, the centre S. Hard on the brakes then, flick to the left, downhill, back on the accelerator as you come round the Curva de Sol, a long sweeping left-hander, down the back straight then towards Decina de Lago as well. You've got open up your DRS, slam on the brakes about 50 metres to go, flick the car into turn 4, use the exit curb a lot, and then flat out up the hill as well towards Ferradura, 6th gear corner for turn number 6. Flick the car in towards the right, uphill section of the track, double apex as well, before you come into the Super boxes. Flew in now, keep it calm, round the oranges turn as well at turn 9 as well. Turn 10 as well, a little bit tricky to get right on the brakes as well as you have to slam down all the way 2nd gear. Into Magula then as well as you drop downhill dramatically towards Juncao as well. Up through 7th gear, drop down to 4th gear, flick the car in again to the left and then back up now towards the last corner. You're flat out rising 6th gear, 7th gear, 8th gear as well. Flat out with the DRS open as you come across the line. In the old days you used to cut across the pit lane entrance, now not needed to, and that is a lap of Interlagos.
Super Sunday continues right here, right now, here in Sao Paulo, we are an hour away from going racing for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix after qualifying earlier. This is going to be a wild race. Well, hello everyone, welcome to the continuation of Super Sunday. Now it is time for the event that we did expect, but not right now. It was, of course, we were expecting it later on in the day, 2 p.m. local time, 5 o'clock in the UK, but it's 90 minutes earlier the start time, meaning we are now here moments away from sending the cars out there, first of all, for their laps to the grid, and it is going to be a really interesting day. After seeing so many crashes in qualifying, 5 red flags in qualifying, it has meant that lots of teams have a lot to repair, and one of the drivers, Alexander Albon, is not going to be able to participate as his crash was too big. The others, it seems like the teams have been able to get on work, and they're still going to be racing against the clock as they try and get the cars fixed. Well, I'm Omi. Alongside me is Joshua Birch here for the pre-show, and Josh, well, qualifying was absolutely crazy. The race is going to be as well.
Standing start, rolling start, red flags, safety cars, virtual safety cars, billions of cars in the wall. We're in for an unpredictable day, aren't we? God knows what's going to happen next. I literally don't know. It's a shame we've lost Alexander Albon after such a great qualifying result. He won't take part in this event. The chassis is too badly damaged. That's one of the defects of having the race and qualifying on the same day. Lawson, big improvement from him up there as well. But everybody else who crashed, Colapinto, he is due to start. But who else? Stroll, Alonso, no sign of them just yet. Sainz will start. They've managed to repair that car in time. But the highs and lows from 7 days ago, it's unbelievable. It's how quickly this sport changes. And now we don't even know if in an hour's time it'll be lights out, away we go, or whether it'll be green flag, away we go, or whether it'll be back into the pits, everybody. Sorry, it's too wet. Red flags are out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Or are we going to be continuing the JBMotorsports podcast later on? But with the conditions, it does look like we are going to get racing unless it really does come down. Lots of chances, of course, of it also continuing to come down during the race. Some low intensity, some high as well, meaning that there's going to be some unpredictable weather coming in for the drivers to tackle. And on the evidence of qualifying, where it was every moment we had a yellow flag in the race, I just cannot imagine what's going to be happening, where we're going to have Lando Norris at the start at least, whether it's rolling, whether it's standing, the first into the conditions. So it's going to be a really crazy start to the race, and then the race leader is really going to be in massive trouble being first into every single corner, and I think we're going to be in for lots of cars wide and wide absolutely everywhere. So I think we could be in for a race that includes plenty of safety cars, plenty of yellow flags. So I feel like we could even maybe get under 10 finishes today. That is literally just how this day feels right now.
It does, doesn't it? And it's the conditions as well. And the new surface here, let's not drag that down. Brand new surface with rain on top makes it impossible to keep on the surface. And that's why we're seeing so many issues. The timing monitors have just popped on, actually, which is very unusual. 50 minutes before the start of a race, the timing screens are already on. I've never had that before. But it's interesting that they have popped up because it says the wind, Omi, is actually at 0. There's no wind at the moment. It's completely still out there. Track temperature is at 26.2. Air temperature is at 22.3. 87% humidity. And under the little tab where it says rain, it just says yes. So there is definitely rain. Confirmation, by the way, that Verstappen is going to start 17th, but with Albon being withdrawn, that part of the grid is going to be left blank because the final starting grid has already been published. So Albon it'll just be an empty space on the grid. So Verstappen still effectively starts 17th on the grid. Sainz is going to start from the pit lane. We already know that. But yeah, we're really out for interesting ones. Just interesting, it looks like they've got Fernando Alonso's car somewhat operational, Omi, because his RPM is on a test phase cycle up of 4,000, 5,000 RPM. I've just noticed on our monitors up here. So it looks like Alonso might even make this start.
Absolutely, it was great to see Alonso and basically nearly everyone we can get make this start because, yeah, we need every car as possible in this by the evidence of earlier on as well. So, yeah, the cooldown laps, of course, the installation laps to the grid. We are going to, of course, see The drivers have to be a bit careful because we have seen in the past Sergio Perez at Spa, for example, back in 2021, or even Hungary, Max Verstappen in 2020. Cars lose it on the way to the grid. So we do need to, so they do need to be really, really careful. And with these conditions, anything is possible. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do maybe see a car lose it into the wall at some point on their way to the grid.
Last wet race we had here was 2016, and that day Romain Grosjean spun off on the way to the grid and put it in the wall. Sebastian Vettel was spun off under the safety car as well. So it's all closing through. The final starting grid has actually just been published. So let's see if it is going to have Albon in it. Albon is still listed 7th on the grid, but he won't start there. Car 1 of 5 plays grid penalty. Car 55 is due to start for the back of the grid. So, yeah, Albon officially will start 7th, but he will not take part in this Grand Prix. So, yeah, that's how that one works out, it seems. But I reckon you're right with what you said at the top of the show, that we're only going to have around about 10 finishers here. I don't see everybody getting through lap 1. If it's a standing start, definitely not going to. Now, pit lane's open in 8 minutes, but I think, Sky, I've got some news first of all, so I'll wait to see what you want to wrap up with.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about how this race could go, but of course we have Lando Norris starting on pole. A big moment in the context of this World Championship. Verstappen starting in 17th, up against all sorts of drivers. So if anything goes wrong, even if he has the pace to make his way through the field, he is going to be caught up in lots of battles in the wet conditions. He could easily be sliding off the road, and that could be him out of the race. So a big opportunity today for Lando Norris to take advantage, and he really needs to get away from the rest of the field as soon as possible, because in case he has that little wide moment somewhere throughout the lap, he needs to have that little buffer over the drivers behind, because today is such a big day, and if he wants to win this championship, he's been given a huge opportunity today.
Yes, he really has. And the benefit, of course, of being first is you have no spray in front of you. You're going to be fine. But you are, the negative side of that, you're the first to meet the conditions. Big advantage there for the championship, because Max Verstappen is starting 17th. He's got every other car in front of him that is now going to have to be navigated through, that could cause accidents, could spin. So Verstappen fought back from 9th for a podium here in 2016. Now he's got a car that's faster. Can he do it again? I don't know. It's an up and down field at the moment, Omi, as to what we could actually see going through. I'm not actually sure 100% what we're going to have.
Yeah, it is just that sort of race where we just cannot predict. Now, Lewis Hamilton in 14th, he was out there driving Senna's car earlier on as well. If anyone hasn't seen that, then that is on the F1 YouTube channel there. So great to see, of course, him driving the car out there, and of course saying that it's some of the best driving he's had out there this weekend. So he's really just not enjoying himself. And when we thought about the conditions, we thought that he would be good, he would be up there, he would be in contention. But no, still down there in P14, of course, one place higher up due to Alexander Albon. But he still finds himself low down, and it seems like he just doesn't have the confidence right now.
It doesn't, and he said about how the car setup was wrong and how everything wasn't right. So I think he's got to be really careful not to crash out of this race, actually. So it's going to be a pretty much a slow start from him. He's also got cars to go through. Just looking, everybody who crashed was on the intermediate tyres, let's not forget. But it's just so slippery out here, Romy. We're seeing replays of all the crashes. This is going to fit. Do you know what this is going to be? I know we've been going on about it all weekend, but this is going to be a repeat of 2003, when everyone, in that day, it was extreme wet weather, but the tyre suppliers at the time, Michelin and Bridgestone, only brought the intermediate tyre because they thought it wouldn't be necessary to bring the extreme wet to Brazil. I don't know why they thought that. So we were stuck on intermediates for the whole time. Race started behind the safety car. It was fine until new water appeared at turn 3, coming off the back of a chip van. So that had to be sorted. And then it all just got worse and worse and worse throughout the day. And we ended up having to stop on lap 53 with a red flag because Alonso threw it in the wall. So, yeah, pit lane opens is next, but it's going to be so... It's so cautious, Omi. One wrong move here, and you're off the circuit. Anyone who's starting in the back that's experienced, Hamilton, Verstappen, even throw in Hulkenberg in that mix because he's been here since 2010, they're going to struggle. Faster cars, they're going to struggle at the back navigating this traffic. Personally, red flag lap 1 if we have a standing start. I can't see how it's possible. It's going to have to be a rolling start. There's no way we're going to have a lights out today, I'm afraid. We already had one this weekend. Let's just have a safe start and have a great race, if we can have that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's not lose about quarter of the field on the opening lap, which is probably what could happen. Everyone arriving into turn 1 and someone not being able to get the brakes sorted into that first turn as well. So, yeah, hopefully they will just go for a rolling start, as we've already seen this spectacular standing start earlier on this weekend. So we do have that image as well. So let's just go out there, enjoy the race, and hopefully keep as many drivers in it as possible. Now, Ollie Bearman, Franco Colapinto, both of them having to adapt to these conditions, both of them having to get used to these weathers, and also having to see how much temperature you need to get into the full wets, into the inter. So both of them thrown in the curveball, and of course, unfortunate for Colapinto to find the wall. Bearman just keeping himself out of it, but finding himself out in Q1. What do you think those two are going to be able to do this weekend?
Fight, to be honest with you. The Hasses have looked strong all weekend long, and I think they would have been higher up, judging by what we saw in sprint qualifying, which was running the dry. If it was a dry race, they'll be strong. I think Bearman is going to get used to it. This is going to be his first wet race, by the way, and into Lagos. So for his third of a Grand Prix, I would be a little bit worried, but he's a capable young chap. Nico Hulkenberg's had pole position around here, so I think he's going to be flying through. I've got no worries about the two Hasses. I think they could be the surprise today and score some points, to be honest with you. I reckon they'll be replacing the Alonso and Stroll, Aston Martin 9 and 10. I generally think we're going to see the Hasses in points.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, looking at George Russell, he, of course, starts alongside Lando Norris. How do you think he'll be able to get on, either from second on the rolling start or even second on the grid?
Yeah, Russell's won round here. Lando hasn't, but it was in dry conditions for Russell. I think he's got the advantage if he can get a clear start. We know he's got the better Mercedes under him. We understand that Lewis Hamilton might also be starting from the pit lane for a new setup change. We're having that wait to be confirmed. But Russell, I think, has got an advantage today. British 1-2 on the grid is great news, but I think we're about to get ready to go down to the pit lane shortly, so I'll keep my answers short and sweet. I think Russell definitely could attack Norris, but I think that's going to be decided on track. Not going to be expecting a lot of pit stops today. It'll be wet to wet, or maybe wet to intermediates. I definitely don't think we're going to see dry. It's going to rain all day.
Absolutely, brilliant stuff. Tsunoda also in P3, that's a personal best for him as well, starting in 3rd position, and he will just be sitting in behind, seeing how the race unfolds ahead of him, seeing if there's fireworks, and he'll definitely be there to take the opportunity with how the recarbs are looking in the race conditions as well. Lawson even able to get it up to 5th position, 6th in qualifying, promoted up, of course, to 5th. We have Leclerc in 6th as well. Ferrari, it's going to be a critical day for them in the Constructors' Championship. You've got Leclerc in 6th, Sainz starting from the pit lane. But on a day like this, where there are so many opportunities, Sainz still could end up fighting his way to the point if he can keep it out of the wall. It's just as simple as that. But we're about to throw it down to the pit lane for what really could be a very, very interesting few laps to the grid for the field as they try to assess the conditions, how the conditions are compared to this morning as well, and we'll hopefully still be able to keep everyone with us in for the start of the race, so that will be interesting to see.
Mate, awnings may be used and officially low grip conditions.
Okay, fantastic stuff. So it is really turning out to be one of those days as Liam Lawson is about to get going onto the circuit, and we are going to head down now to Sky, who are going to see all of the cars make their way onto the circuit at green light.
Kids, we're simulcasting with them today from 25 past 3 in the UK, and that's available via the red button right open. Cars going out on track. Here's 10.
Thank you very much, Simon. Yes, here we go again. Right, first the Michael Fish bit. It's dry at the moment. It's not raining, but there is rain on the way for the start of the race, or about 10 laps in. 71 laps around here for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, so bear that in mind. This has all the elements of a crazy Grand Prix today, and if you're a driver, you can go from hero to zero in these conditions. Lando Norris is in the best place at the front. If it's wet, it's not actually the lack of grip that's the problem, it's more the lack of visibility. That's what the drivers were saying after wet qualifying earlier today. As for race strategy in the wet, it's really a matter of take a bit of time before you make your decision, and then make sure you make that right decision, even if it's a bit late. Previous wet races have always proved that's the best way to do it. As I say, 71 laps, you need 21 seconds to do a pit stop around here, but it will only cost you 12 seconds if there's a safety car or a virtual safety car, which David Croft, there's highly likely to be. What about Max Verstappen, Crofty? Can he make it to the podium or even the victory?
And at the moment, Ted Kravitz, we're trying to work out where Max Verstappen's going to start this race. Williams have withdrawn Alex Albon from this race. The crash damage was too much to repair, and there's a bit of debate going on as to whether that grid spot will be left empty because it's come late enough so that the final grid that's been published by the FIA had already been published before Alex Albon was withdrawn. So bear with me on that one. We don't even know where Max Verstappen's going to start, but we know he's going to be starting in his worst ever grid spot here at Interlagos, and we know that Lewis Hamilton is going to be starting for his worst spot here since 2017. Don't forget, though, he did in 2009 go from 17th to 3rd on the grid to claim that podium. News just in. 2 seconds.
It's clearing up a bit now out here. It's pretty bright, actually.
News just in as the FIA apply all their procedure. Because Max Verstappen had a 5-place grid penalty for taking a new power unit, he will stay 17th on the grid. I've got that in the last few seconds. So Alex Albon might have the grid spot left empty. Carlos Sainz starts in the pit lane, so others will move up, but Max will start in P17 because of that engine penalty. Now let's look at the conditions out there as Franco Colapinto gets ready to come out of the garage out in Q1 for the 3rd consecutive race weekend. The conditions, as Ted said, it's stopped raining, it is dry, but there are puddles still on the track, and it's certainly intermediate weather at the moment. If you remember back to Spa in 2021, we had that farcical 2-lap race behind the safety car, and then we had Japan, didn't we, a year later, where Max Verstappen was declared the world champion, and people were a bit unsure at the time as to whether he'd done it or not because of the new rule about full points, half points or 1/3 of the points. This is how it will run today if the rain comes in. Between 2 laps and 25% of the race, which is the end of lap 18, you will get points from 1st down to 5th, 6th all the way down to 1.4 5th. Less than 2 laps, you don't get any points at all. Between 25% and 50%, which is the end of lap 6, you get points 13 for a winner, down to 1 for 9th place. And between 50 and 75%, which is the end of lap 54, you get 19 points for winning, all the way down to 1 point for 10. After lap 54, if we're getting that far, you get 100% of the points. It's 25 down to 1, top 10 scoring, and the fastest lap bonus point comes at the end of half distance. It's been a very, very busy day. The drivers are certainly ready for this one, and for Team Faenza, what a qualifying it is. Both cars in the top 5 on the grid, Yuki Tsunoda in the top 3, and for the team that was Toro Rosso and was AlphaTauri and is now Team RB, it's only their second top 3 start in the last 16 years. Pierre Gasly in Qatar in 2021 was the other. Rachel Brooks, let's head down to you.
Yes, Crofty, and I'm down here on the grid at the moment where the teams are setting up, and it was quite a scene a few moments ago because Sergio Perez's crew was setting up here in this grid box, but then when that final grid came out and they realised Alex Albon's spot will be empty and they don't get to move forward, they had to move him back to that one over there. So the team's not knowing as well until those very last final moments that Alex's spot will be left empty instead of people moving up when there's a penalty because he's just not racing. That spot will be empty and everyone else only gets to move forward 1 place, apart from, as you mentioned, Max Verstappen, who is all the way back down there in P17 for this race. Simon, back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. So there we go. That, I hope, clears up the grid spots for the moment. Charles Leclerc will begin from 6. But let's just pick up, if we could, on those RBs, because what a weekend they are having. At one stage, on the front row of the grid, it was Lando Norris and Liam Lawson, but then Russell, Tsunoda and Ocon leapfrogged him towards the end of Q3. But, yeah, great display. And let's start with Liam Lawson and the impact he's made since coming back in.
He's been really, you know, quite outstanding, if I can say so, since he's come back. I mean, you know, to not, even though he was in the car last year, it's a completely different car this year, and he still hit the ground really running. And to be fifth in these conditions in a car that he's not driven yet in wet conditions, just goes to show that he's quite talented and also really confident in the car, which is what you need.
Confidence, yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's not here to make any friends, as he said. It's quite a feisty pairing, that, isn't it? Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson.
Yeah, I'd love to be in the debrief rooms with those two, but I think they're having a good time there. It's great when you're in a team that's got a good opportunity, and they're typically not looking this far forward up the grid, but right now they've got something to really get excited about. And they'll be hoping that it continues to stay wet, I think. They don't really want to dry out because their car performance might be not up to the front end of the race.
It's as bright as it's been in the last 24 hours. There's no two ways about that. And yeah, just the odd spot of rain. They'd start on the intermediates, but we know, I mean, at 300 kph, I think the intermediates clear the road at about, or the water away about 30 litres per second. So yeah, I mean, it would be dry and it would be slipped quite quick if it stayed like this.
Yeah, it's an enormous amount of water that they can move in a short space of time. And on top of that, the thing is, even though it's been grey and it's been wet, it is really, really warm out here. It's not exactly cold weather, so that's also going to help this water to move and things to dry up a little bit quicker. But of course, it would be interesting to hear from Bernie and her radar to hear what's going on, because some are saying rain 10 minutes into the race. When you look around, it's looking clearer than it's been, so it's hard to really tell at this point which way it's going to go.
Let's go to Bernie. As we said, loves a radar.
Loves a radar. That is quote of the week, I think. It's always mentioned every time my name comes up. Loves a radar. But I do love a radar, and I have been watching it quite closely this morning. There is a bit of a gap in the rainfall now. That's why there's no rain actually falling on the grid. But 22k away, which I think is maybe half an hour from now, so 20 minutes into the race, 25 minutes into the race, that's when more rain's coming. So this first bit of the race will see the track gradually dry out as the 19 cars circulate on what I suspect is going to be an intermediate start, and then it's, can they make that intermediate last long enough until we start to get more rain, and how quickly will that rain come? So that's what the teams are going to be juggling with at the beginning of this race, I think, at the minute. That's all I have for the moment, Simon.
That's fine. It's very good. Thanks, Bernie. That's all we needed to know. But yeah, it's around. There's no doubt about it, and they'll just have to react accordingly. That's the kind of racing we love at Interlagos, and we get so often. Reactive stuff.
I mean, it's good anyway, even if it's dry. We have some fantastic races because of this wonderful long straight and then the big stop there into turn one. But yes, when it's wet, very tricky. It can sometimes compromise racing there, because if it starts to get a dry line, then unfortunately you have to stay on the dry bit. You can't go offline to get past people.
The Aston Martins had looked utterly terrible, hadn't they, this weekend, up until the point where it started raining. Now, they were going well and running in the top places until they both put it in the wall. Looks like they're both going to start.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough morning for the Aston Martin crew. Both of them, as you say, going well, getting themselves into the top 10, and then just at the last moment, obviously, Stroll first, and then a little bit later in Q3, Alonso putting it in the wall. Big shunts for both of them, but, you know, these driver errors that we're seeing, particularly, you know, Stroll's one, that was turn 3, we saw other drivers going off there. It seems to be that there's a little pinch in the corner where you've got a little bit of steering angle, but you're getting back on the throttle and you just lose the rear there. So it's a shame for them, but, I mean, they're in a good position on the grid, and if they can get up and stay there, that's already a good result for them this weekend.
Gasly had been the form horse at Alpine, but yeah, Esteban Ocon from fourth. How's he positioned for the race? Obviously quite good from the start, but could he stay there?
Yeah, I think he probably could hang on to, if it dried out, he could hang on to a fairly high position, maybe just a little bit outside the top 5 perhaps. But he's done a fantastic job. He wants obviously to show that he's still got it. He's moving on from Alpine, but I think it may be that a wet qualifying session brings out that kind of fiery kind of character that he has as a driver, and I think he relished it.
Yeah, look, again, this morning was really confusing. There was a lot of things that happened. People got caught out. There were red flags, yellow flags, lots of things causing drivers to not necessarily qualify in the position they should have. And I wonder if Gasly, a little bit like Verstappen and Perez and the drivers that were all around Stroll at that time on track, maybe were caught out by that timing as well in Q2.
All right, let's head out onto the grid. Rachel's there with Karun. Take it away, guys.
Well, yes, Karun and I down here on the grid, and as you can see, cars still coming through, and the RB going further forward than it has done for a lot of this year, Karun, after a brilliant qualifying.
Amazing job here by Yuki Tsunoda. He's going to enjoy this particular journey up past the grid. It's just it's a nice feeling when you're knowing you're going past all of these people you've out-qualified, and we've got George Russell also coming past in a second now on the front row, of course.
And you also get an idea of the slope of this grid that they're going to have to deal with. Those drivers at the very back who start in that down dip and then climb all the way up, and those drivers at the front who can't quite see over the top of the brow. And just to our right behind us, Sergio Perez, we mentioned earlier, could have possibly moved forward a couple of places. It's only going to be the one place. Actually, no, he's not moving forward at all, is he? He is going to start in P12. But Valtteri Bottas, much higher up than he was thinking he'd be this weekend. Great job from him in qualifying too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been a bit of comedy, hasn't it, on the grid? Let's see. As just for people trying to work out, all the mechanics came and set up in completely the wrong place. You see Oscar Piastri there,
yes,
right?
I do. I'm going to see if he's having a quick word with Tom Stallard right now. I'll see if I can grab a word with him. Just let them get their final words on, I guess, how they're going to approach the start of this race, Karun. And we're looking at the tarmac right now. Do you think it's wet or do you think it's inters?
I think it's inters at the moment. It's quite bright at the moment, but it's still inters. You can see them just setting up his physio Kim, setting up all the equipment. I love this little tent, Lee. Look at this. He's got a little helmet tent to keep all his stuff dry. There's a little grey tent in there. What, have you got snacks for him in there?
Sorry?
Have you got snacks for him in there, Karun?
No snacks.
Have you got a lot of choices of helmets and visors for him right now? Because this weather's changing all the time.
Just a clear one and a medium tint one.
I'll see if I can grab a word with Oscar if he's still chatting away to Tom right there right now.
The sun feels like it's trying to peek through the crowd, isn't it?
It's very warm. Let's see if we can get a word with him quickly before he's just taking the top of his overalls. It's warmed up really quickly. This track's going to dry fast.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what he can do at the race, because he was quick all the way through, and on that final lap he locked up, didn't he, into the center S, locked up and went straight on, and that meant that he's ended up down here. He would have been in that fight. He's going to come through the pack. He's got a very rapid car.
Should we leave him in peace?
Okay.
I think we're going to go and try and have a word with somebody else, because he looks like he's going through an awful lot with his engineer Tom Stallard right now, and looking a little perturbed after what happened in that qualifying as well. I know he was really disappointed with it.
Say Charles here talking to Brian Botsey, his race engineer as well. This is really an important part of the weekend, Rage, for them, because communication, Bernie was saying, qualifying, going to be so important in these conditions. You need to make sure you're on the right tyre at the right time. You got to make sure you're reading what other people are doing and make that switch. If we do go to slicks, at the moment it's looking bright, and if we don't get any more rain, they could get to slicks. So making that call and how they're going to have those calls is super important to get right.
Charles was saying to me that it was everything that could go wrong went wrong for him during that qualifying session today, and he said they just got the timing wrong, and everything that could have gone against them did go against them. Let's have a quick word with Emerson Fittipaldi if we can. Emerson, can I grab you for a very quick word today? I mean, we've had an epic Brazilian Grand Prix weekend so far, haven't we? What are you expecting from the race today?
I think it's an incredible weekend. Racing on these conditions, everything can change. What exciting qualifying. What exciting Grand Prix ahead of us. Amazing. Lando is ready to go. Max has tremendous pressure now because the championship is getting closer now. You know? The gap is getting closer and closer. What a race.
We're looking forward to it very much. Karun's got himself a guest as well. Thank you, Emerson. Thank you.
From one Brazilian race winner to another one here. Rubens Barrichello, lovely to see you. It's an amazing weekend. How excited were you to see Lewis drive Senna's car, your childhood hero?
Oh, I tell you, it's been awesome. I hope that we have more often this, because I would love to drive that car too, just to say, you know, hello to everyone. What a fantastic weekend. What a fantastic moment for us to have. A new asphalt, we don't know if it's going to dry, but it looks like it's hot, isn't it? It looks like it's going to dry.
Now, you were leading that wet race in 2003. What do you think it's going to happen today? Do you think it can stay intermediates? Well, you know you're a local. What's the weather going to do?
Well, it's getting hot, really hot. It might go dry and might rain at the end of the race again. But it's a new asphalt. I've never been on it, on this one. So it looks wetty. For me, it was a lot of a spray before, and it will be a lot of spray now.
Thank you for your time, Rubens.
Thank you very much,
day.
Rubens. Come on, Karun, let's go up here. I mean, this is somewhere the Alpine team haven't been used to being. Esteban Ocon's car here on the left-hand side, and he actually thinks they've got a decent chance today in the wet. because he thinks their car turns on in the wet. And he's had to watch Pierre have the performances of late, hasn't he? But this time, it's him who's up here.
Yeah, and we can see. Let's get it. What about Laurent Mekies here? He's got 2 cars up at the sharp end. Laurent, amazing qualifying for you guys. 3rd and 5th on the grid. The big team haven't got anyone in the top 10. You guys are showing them the way. Great job.
No, you know, thanks a lot. And it's credit to Yuki and to Liam. They did an amazing job. They stayed very cool in changing conditions. They had great communication with their teams, and they could make the good calls with the team. So, you know, there is always circumstances in this sort of qualifying, but the guys got it right today, and it's a good milestone for the team progression.
Well, good luck for the race. Hope it goes well.
Thank you, Laurent. Yes, and I think Will Joseph's down here. I'm going to go and try and have a word with Will. He's looking very calm on the pit wall, but he always looks very calm on the pit wall. He is listening into a conversation right now, so I don't want to interrupt it until he's free. But I'll just wait for a second, and I'm sure he'll have a little word with us about the conditions today and about what Lando can expect. Hi, Will. If I could just trouble you for a very quick word. Look, it's drying up right now in the air. You can feel it's quite hot. What have you seen on the radar, and what are the concerns for Lando and for the team?
We don't really have any concerns. You know, the weather, yeah, it feels dry, it feels quite bright and hot now. Whether or not the track would dry up in time for the race start, not sure. Potentially there's more weather on the way, but I don't really want to give away too much of what we think the weather's going to do.
What about this mixed grid around you? You've got a Mercedes, you've got an Alpine, you've got an RP. Does that help you today?
I mean, it certainly put some cars between us and some other people, but we really don't worry about that. We're just focused on our own race. We'll do the best job we can, and we'll see.
As always, brilliant. Thank you very much, Will. Thank you. And this is then with Lando's car here at the moment, under the canopy, of course, because they weren't sure whether or not it was going to rain while they were sitting here, Karoom.
It's not actually raining at the moment, is it? And we kept hearing there was more rain coming. Let's see, Bernie Eccleston down here. Should we try and grab a word?
Go on.
Bernie, can we grab a word? How are you? Are you excited for another wet race here in Brazil?
Yeah, so that's good. Good for me anyway to be here.
Now, listen. You've been wandering on the paddock. Are you a fan of anyone? Are you cheering for Max and Lewis to come through the pack? Who are you cheering for?
I mean, I'm a big supporter of the winner here, Max. So I support him. That's it.
All right. Well, we're about to get run over here by the by the.
Put in the weather. Just keep us dry in case it rains.
Yes, they can keep it up for me. That'd be great.
Get on and do some work.
Thank you.
Well, do you know what we're going to do, Karoom? We're going to go and have a look at Alonso's car, because I understand there's quite a bit of work going on. And when you think about it, these Aston Martin mechanics have had so much work to do to get these 2 cars to the grid. We know Alex Albon isn't going to be in the race today because it was too much work to get his car fixed, and they were working on Franco Colapinto's from the session. But the Aston Martin mechanics have worked tirelessly, Karoon, and that's no lunch break. That's trying to make sure you've got enough parts to put these 2 cars back together. They've done it. But, I mean, what can they expect from the race today? It's quite difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really tricky. Before we get there, can I just point something out? Because we've got an empty grid box. So I'm going to pretend to be Checo Perez and try and highlight. This is what happened in Mexico last time. I remember he came here and he missed the grid box. Now, this yellow line never used to be this long. It kind of used to end here. And the drivers said, look, the cockpit sides are higher, so they extended the line. But he completely missed it. It is tricky to do the line up. To be honest, what I used to do is I used to get one of my mechanics to put a bit of fluorescent tape or something on the wall. The sponsors probably hated it. But for me, in the cockpit, just because of how low you sat, it was quite a good way to just give you another reference of where to park. But yeah, using this empty spot, I thought it was just a good chance to show.
Empty, because Alex Albon would have been there. Let's go down here, because this is Fernando Alonso's car. And Karoon, what are they looking at right now? We can see the guys on the left there going right underneath and around the floor edge.
We can. In fact, there's a man who could probably tell us, Rach, because I'm standing with Tom McCulloch. Lee, you keep looking at the car. Tom, what's going on? Any concerns on that floor there?
No concerns. We were very late getting the car rebuilt. We've just noticed something not quite tight enough, so we're just sorting it out, but it'll be good for the race.
A massive effort from your mechanics getting both cars ready in time. Do you feel they're 100% sorted out?
Obviously, it's a really big rebuild, spare rear ends, different front corners, different floors, front wings, rear wings. So huge amount of work, but we're well prepared for it in the garage, so I think the car should be good.
Are the drivers buying them some drinks afterwards?
Not for me, it's the guys doing all the work, but yeah, it'll be a good day, hopefully.
That's going to be a big round, isn't it, Karoon? Some caipirinhas for sure. And I think if we head back up here towards the front, because we're approaching the time where these drivers will get ready, final checks and final chats before this race gets underway as we go past Charles's car. I was looking for Felipe Massa.
You walked past him.
Have I just walked past him? There he is. I can see him.
He's not very tall.
In the baseball cap.
Go on, you dive in.
Shall I go and grab a word? Here we go. Felipe, could I trouble you for a quick word? Yeah, sure. How are you, first of all?
Good, and you?
Very good, thank you. What's it like to be back here? And also on a weekend where we've had so much action. It's been so exciting.
It's amazing. It's the best place for me here, this grid in Interlagos, for everything that I passed through. And I'm sure we're going to have a nice race to watch. A nice championship, you know, in these last 4 races. So I'm so happy to be here. And Interlagos is always special.
Thank you very much, Felipe. Thank you very much, and enjoy the race. Go on, Karun, who have you spotted?
Yeah, I've spotted Ollie Oakes here, team boss at Alpine. Ollie, can we grab a quick word?
Of course. Holiday?
It was lovely, thank you very much, yeah. Brilliant qualifying for Esteban Ocon. What's the goal from here? How far? Because obviously, if the track starts to dry, you might struggle for pace, but in these conditions, what do you think?
I think we just got to go for it. At the end of the day, it was a good qualifying, but the points are now as well. Yeah.
It's been a tough year for you guys with lots of stuff going on. You need a big positive story out of this weekend, don't you?
Yeah, but I think the last few weekends have been positive. I think we want to continue that, but actually we've got to take it as it comes. Yeah.
And finally, about Pierre, because he's looked quicker than Esteban in recent weekends. How far up do you think he can get?
Yeah, I mean, he was a bit unlucky in quali then, but I think everybody will say that with red flags, and we were drivers, so we know that. But I think he should have a good race today. Yeah.
And we think intermediates, do we think we're going to get slicks at some point?
Well, I was just arguing that. I thought very soon, but they just tell me a rain shower's coming, so we'll have to see.
All right, thank you very much.
Right, Karun, come on, we're going to go up the front to try and see if we can catch any drivers as they make their way up. How difficult is it when you're sitting here and it feels like it's drying, Karun, you're looking at this surface, but then you're told there's possibly a rain shower coming. You're already on edge.
So it's a bit tricky because of where we're standing. Lee, if you just spin the camera on, you see we're in this bowl. You can see we're in almost this valley here, and the clouds are coming from somewhere over there in the distance. So where we're standing, you can't actually see what's coming. You have to trust the information coming from the engineers. You have to trust the information that the radar is telling you. But because we're in this bowl, it's kind of got its own microclimate. The clouds can build up pretty quickly. But at the moment, looking at it now, I will start on intermediates.
We're standing here by Lando's car at the moment. He has that big gap back to Max Verstappen, 44 points in the championship. It would be massive if he could build on what he got yesterday in the sprint, the 3-point advantage yesterday.
Oh, unquestionably, and you know, this is a golden opportunity, because actually for Max to come through with the difficulties and visibility coming from the back of the pack will be tricky. Lovely tribute, by the way, before we finish. On the front of that, McLaren GDF, a tribute to Gilles de Ferran, who sadly passed away, and his first time McLaren racing Brazil since he passed away.
Well, what a weekend we've had here in Sao Paulo already. So much excitement, and we haven't even had the Grand Prix yet. But before we get to 71 laps of this incredible Interlagos track, and whatever the weather is going to throw at us, it is time for a moment of calm for all the drivers, the teams, and everybody involved in the race. It's the national anthem.
Ouviram do Ipiranga as margens plácidas de povo heróico brado retumbante, e o sol da liberdade em raios fúlgidos brilhou no céu da pátria nesse instante. Seu penhor dessa igualdade conseguimos conquistar com braço forte. Em teu seio, ó liberdade, desafia o nosso peito à própria morte. Ó pátria amada, idolatrada, salve, salve. Brasil, um sonho intenso, um raio vívido de amor e de esperança, a terra desce. Se em teu formoso céu risonho é límpido, a imagem do cruzeiro resplandece. Gigante pela própria natureza, és belo, és forte, impávido colosso. e o teu futuro espelha essa grandeza. Terra dourada, entre outras mil és do Brasil, a pátria amada. Dos filhos deste solo és mãe gentil, pátria amada Brasil.
Yuki, can we have a quick word just on today? What do you think is possible? What a fantastic performance by you in qualifying. What are we thinking from third today?
Yeah, it's a good opportunity, especially like this condition, but we did as much as we can to score points. Yep.
You were really quick all 3 sessions. Are you feeling comfortable in the car, confident?
Yeah, feeling confidence, maximize the pace, and keep clean.
Look, obviously they're getting very focused at the moment. They've got a huge opportunity to have the RBs because Haas have moved 10 points ahead of them in the constructors, but they start from third and fifth today. Great effort from them. Let's go to Ted.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Simon. That work you saw on Fernando Alonso's Aston Martin more or less finished. It's being held together with tie wraps, which is impressive. But I noticed something else, and that's a fair bit of work on the front brakes of both Haas cars of Ollie Behrman. Just to remind you, if you haven't been watching throughout the weekend, Kevin Magnussen, normal Haas driver, struck down with food poisoning, not racing. So Ollie Behrman is in one car, Nico Hülkenberg, of course, in the other. But they're just finishing the work on the front brakes on Hülkenberg's car. It was the same job on Ollie Behrman's as well. And let's have a look. It's so weird to see Max Verstappen at the back of the grid here, and just wondering what the game plan might be for them today. Yes, they can actually get towards the podium. I'm wondering if they think they can win as well. It's Christian Horner, the boss, just over there. But yeah, all looks fairly calm down here. A lot of concentration actually on Christian Horner's face. I'm just seeing, Christian, we're live at the moment. Do you think you can podium or win, if to podium is a verb?
Right, that's a long way from here, but
well, these conditions.
Look, I mean, we're going to do everything that we can. Obviously got unlucky earlier, and in a race like this, anything can happen. So you just got to be on your toes and grab whatever opportunities come your way.
Okay, thanks very much, Simon. Giampiero Lambiase talked about the game plan, didn't he, yesterday for Max Verstappen? The game plan clearly is to get as many points as possible from even far. Look how far it is down the end of the grid. Back up to you.
Yeah, unfamiliar territory for Max, but you can forget 2016, where in a multi-stop race, at one point he was running 16th and recovered to go to third, and that's the point. It could well be a multi-stop race today with rain dotted about, so anything could happen. And that man at the front, you know, a penny for his thoughts. He looks quite relaxed, a little smile appearing on his face, but he has a huge opportunity today, a huge opportunity.
He has got his serious head on. I mean, let's be honest, he knows what is at stake here. He's got the golden opportunity of extending or closing that gap on Max Verstappen, and who knows what will happen after that. He has to keep it on the island. It's going to be very difficult going in down to turn one. You got Russell, who's very pushy driver. You got Yuki Tsunoda. Anything can happen. Ocon there as well.
In dry conditions, in race trim, it looked as if McLaren was the quickest car. However, the Red Bull 2, and he's a master in these conditions. We know that, Max. He's going to have to rely on all of his skills today.
Yeah, the best news for Norris today is that Verstappen is all the way down the grid, so he's got all the time in this opening part of the stint to just build the gap a bit as big as he possibly can between him and Max. But the tricky thing is, when you're in the lead, let's say if he gets a good start, he comes out of turn 3 first, he is discovering every piece of tarmac before everybody else. So it's easy to make a mistake also being pushed by 19 other cars behind you.
And a tinge of anger as well, I should imagine, for Max Verstappen. We saw his frustration after what happened with qualifying. He had the 5-second penalty as well in the sprint. Everything that's going on with the FIA.
If he's not pumped up like the most you can get a driver pumped up normally anyway, imagine what he's like now. I mean, he's fuming, and he wants to cut his way through this field. And I want to say, you know, if this is a pack of cards, someone's taken it and shuffled it good and properly, haven't they? But this is not what you normally expect to see. So all sorts of things can happen in this race.
It has all the ingredients of an absolute classic, doesn't it? The two title rivals separated at the moment by 44 points. The Sao Paulo Grand Prix is next.
.44 points indeed, and by the end of today it really could be closed in after the scenario we have been put for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, which is 10 minutes away from the formation lap. Joining us now in the commentary box is Ed Hunter. Hello, Ed. Welcome to the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. It looks like it is going to be possibly a classic race.
I think it's a bit early to say that. It could be Spa 2021 could happen again. You never know whenever it gets right in Formula One. But hopefully, of course, they change the rules, I think, to sort of prevent that sort of scenario from happening again. But yeah, certainly Norris has sort of got to win this one. It's sort of otherwise his championship is basically over because he just as much as he has the odd round where he closes in, Verstappen is always able to limit the damage. But down in 17th, he will have a very, very tricky drive. I think we could be in for a monster of a drive from Max Verstappen today, especially if it stays wet or if the conditions change as well. It'll be interesting to see how the drivers are out of position, like Tsunoda, Lawson, etc., get on as well. Ocon as well, wildly out of position. So for Williams, their chance of 8th in the constructors is over because Alpine are way too high up the grid, to be honest, and Albon really needed not to bin it, and he did, which is really unfortunate for them because Williams just don't have the ability to repair a car from the end of Q3 and the 4 or 5 hours until the race or whatever. It's just been too compressed a schedule for them. So thank goodness Williams don't compete in Formula E, otherwise they'd be absolutely because this scenario happens all the time in Formula E, so Williams would not be able to cope. Although saying that, a lot of the Jaguar team is basically Williams Advanced Engineering, isn't it? So, but anyway, the big question is, how are Ferrari going to win this one? Because they won the last two. This one seems a bit of a trickier one for them.
Either we're going to see Charles Leclerc doing it from 6th on the grid, or we're going to get Carlos Sainz winning from the pit lane, which would be quite something. So yeah, Carlos Sainz is in the pit lane after his crash earlier on. What do you think he'll be able to do from the back, as Ferrari, of course, fighting this Constructors' Championship with McLaren?
He's gotten on the podium from the pit lane before in years past at Brazil. I think back in, was it 19? It was 19, wasn't it? Where he did that. So certainly not impossible, but that was in the dry, whereas in the wet, it's going to be a lot more hazardous. So the big thing is just to stay on the island and not end up spinning like a spinning top and ending up in the wall. Because even Max had that crazy moment in 2016, didn't he? Where he just about kept it out of the wall, but that was a large part of luck, and the other half was judgment as well, I think it's fair to say. So so yeah, you really need to be on your toes in these sorts of conditions, and especially when they change, you've got to be the first one that realizes that it's time to change tires, so you don't end up just losing time on wet tires if it's intermediates, or intermediates if it's wet tires, or dries indeed if we do see the dries.
Absolutely, if we do see the dries. Do you think George Russell can put any pressure on Lando Norris at the front of the field?
Maybe. George tends to make mistakes in these kinds of scenarios. You think back to Canada, where he just went completely off the road while he was easily ahead of Norris and just handed the position to him. So I think Russell could put up a fight. He has won here before, of course, 2022. So it's not a terrible track for him. But certainly, I think as conditions dry out, it will play into the hands of McLaren and less so into the hands of Mercedes.
Yeah, absolutely. McLaren needing to get it right for their constructors and mainly for their drivers, because at the same time, we came into this weekend saying, well, most likely it is Verstappen's title, but this opportunity that they have been presented could see that change and could give Lando Norris a realistic chance with Las Vegas, with Qatar and Abu Dhabi to go. Qatar also having a sprint race, so this could really be a critical moment in the championship. We've seen the two title rivals go side by side for the previous 2 weekends. Norris is not going to be having a good race if he goes side by side today, though, with Max Verstappen. Seeing how Max Verstappen starts all the way down in 17th, will he be able to do his 2016 masterclass once again? What about Esteban Ocon? Also did something similar back then. He'll go from P4. The V-Carbs in 3rd and 5th. Tsunoda ahead of Lawson. They came alive in the conditions earlier. How will they get on in the race? It is all turning out to be one weekend here in Sao Paulo with the weather in the air. This is going to be unpredictable and brilliant. Ed Hunter, Megan Birch and Joshua Birch talking you through this one. Here comes the Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
Anything can happen in Sao Paulo, Brazil. It usually does. When we add wet weather to the mix, 2003 showed us that if you have intermediates and poor planning where you're going to put your bun vans, we're going to have extra water fly onto the circuit. 2016 taught us that no matter how quick you think you are, there's always a youngster willing to push to the extremes and deliver brilliance. What will 2024 bring us? Around this 4.309 kilometre circuit, 71 laps ahead of us as well. I doubt we'll have DRS today with rain at 100% and due for the entirety of this Grand Prix. 15 turns, 42.98 metre elevation change. Pirelli bringing with them the hard C3, medium C4 and soft C5 tyres. However, we're going to be using the green intermediate and especially, I feel, the blue wet weather tyres in the coming hours. Tensions are rising out here as well. Let's take a look at how they line up on the grid then for round 21 of the FIA Formula 1 World Championship. Carlos Sainz is starting in the pit lane, so on the grid in the back once again is Zhou Guanyu in 19th. Nico Hülkenberg is 18th. Max Verstappen starts 17th on the grid with a 5-place grid penalty as well. Further up the grid, Colapinto starts in 16th with Oliver Behrman in 15th. Lewis Hamilton is 14th, alongside him Pierre Gasly and Sergio Perez. Then we have Valtteri Bottas completing that 6th row of the grid. Row 5, we see the two Aston Martins that will be taking the race. Stroll is in 10th, Alonso in 9th. Piastri is in 8th. Alexander Albon should have started in 7th position, but crashed in qualifying too much. He will play no further part. Charles Leclerc will be in 6th, from Liam Lawson 5th. Esteban Ocon is 4th, career best for Yuki Tsunoda in 3rd, George Russell in 2nd, Lando Norris with an 8th career pole and the 6th pole of the season.
We're expecting more rain 20 minutes into the race. Then it will a fairly short period and then a brief period where it's not raining and then a much heavier amount of rain coming after that.
Ed Hunter alongside me in the commentary box, Megan Birch on her way up as well. She's literally just walking back in now as well. I'll say a happy first birthday to our niece Zara, who's back in the house at the moment. So if we have to disappear for a number of laps, it's because we're blowing out her birthday candles. Ed and Omi will take us through those laps as well. We'll try and time it for a safety car. Ed Hunter's alongside me though in the box for the triple header completion. Ed, earlier than expected, but boy oh boy are we going to have a Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Wet weather in Interlagos, I mean you both know it spells trouble and a great race.
Yeah, as someone who slipped through qualifying, I think earlier than expected is maybe a bit of an unknown for me. But anyway, yeah. So certainly once I caught up with it, very so I've got to have my light on, but when I do, it sort of looks like the sun is behind me.
Do you know what? I said that when I was watching the thing. I was like, it looks like it's in the Sahara Desert. That's how bright the sun is.
Yeah, well, no, I literally cut the curtains because it's sort of that weird overcast, or it's bright enough to ruin the brightness, but not bright enough to actually look nice. So it's the sort of worst of both worlds. But anyway, looking like everyone is favouring the intermediate tyre, apart from Albon, of course, who's not on the grid, very, very sadly. Just unfortunately, because he crashed in Q3, it was too close to the end of qualifying and the start of the race, effectively. So if he crashed early like Colapinto, he might be taking the start. Or if he just done one run in Q3 and stayed in the pit lane. But that's not really what racing drivers do, is it? If you just make it to Q3 and stay, that's what they were doing in 2011. Pirelli fell apart when they, and the teams that are lucky would just sit in the pits at circuits like Singapore, for instance. But yeah, anyway, Interlagos, Russell on the front. This should be in. I think this is all just going to be about survival these first few laps, and then once the weather starts to change, it could get heavier, as Ocon's engineer was saying. Then there's going to be a shift to wet tyres, presumably.
First time we've started a race at 12:30, as well as we head off onto the formation lap.
3:30.
3:30 here in the UK, 12:30 over there in Brazil, Sao Paulo. Everything's moved up because of the rainstorm that's coming in. That sounds like it's going to come in even more. Lando Norris locked up on the way to the starting grid. And they're all slow away from the grid here, which is confusing me. It's going to be a standing start procedure, which, well, last year we mucked it up into the first corner. God knows what's going to happen today. Hello, Adam says, thoughts on Lewis Hamilton driving one of Senna's old car in Interlagos? It was awesome. It was fantastic. Oh, right, Foster says, hello amigos, hello Anna. McLaren pretty much gave away the Drivers' Championship. Nice drama, but slim chance now after giving away 8 points to Piastri, another 5 to Leclerc. We've still got a lot of action today with, well, of course, Verstappen in 17th, Norris on pole, remember? Karen says, hey guys, here we go again. What a weekend it really has been. Oh, right, Foster says, what about Bottas podium? Maybe slim chance, Tsunoda podium? I think Tsunoda could do it. Beth is back with us as well. Hello, Beth, who's back with us. You've come in as well. Beth, I can't write. Oh, right off already goes Lance Stroll.
Oh, really?
Lance Stroll's off, just like what we saw with Charles Leclerc last year. And that is down at turn 4. He's gone off,
quicker than we
coming into Decina de Laga. Well, how's he done that? I was just praising Lance Stroll. So
Never do that.
Under braking edge.
He just ends up crashing.
Oh, the rear snapped on him.
Oh, bye-bye, Ballard.
He's taken out the 50-metre board as well,
Yeah,
so that's going to be really annoying for people trying to pick their braking point. They've got to remember where the 50-metre board was. But yeah, Stroll very lucky to keep it mostly out of the barrier there. There was a little tap with the front wing, as we see, sold out attendance, somewhat unsurprisingly. Most of them are there for Senna, not for Colapinto, just to see that one demonstration that Hamilton did. But yeah,
oh, he's
speaking
been
of
straight
Bottas,
the gravel. How's he done that?
Again?
He's put it in the gravel down at turn 4 now.
it was already there. It was already there, I think.
No, I thought
he's even tried to get.
I thought he was on the sideway, and
that's a different point.
Yeah, he was on the side of the track.
He was there. Now he's there.
He was on the tarmac. Now he's
you can see the marks in the gravel.
And beached. Start delayed. They've delayed the start procedure, so they've aborted the start. Yeah. Well,
except the car's in one piece, so in a way it's even more embarrassing for Lance because it was just literally the rear brakes locked. The tyres were too cold. And off he went, and it's rather clumsy because he so easily could have avoided the gravel there as well. Like you say, if he had just done tried to spin turn it effectively from the angle that he was at, he probably would have been okay.
Well, what are they going to do here? They're going to have to delay the start procedure because we can't go racing with Stroll's car down there, but unless they want to start the Grand Prix because they know that rainstorm's coming in 20 minutes. And
2 cars out of the race then.
So here we go. I think we're going to go for it.
Okay.
I think we're going to go for the start procedure.
Is Stroll out of the way?
Stroll is not out of the way. He is beached. I think they want to start the race and then go to a safety car. But we've got a John Deere on the circuit. Well, Niles Fitting, the race director, is being really slow here to abort the start. Stroll's literally standing at the side of the track, and there's the confirmation, aborted start. So effectively, the red flag has come up, but they're sending them round again. No, you've got it wrong, guys. You've got it wrong.
Why are you going?
Why have they've got it wrong?
Literally, the orange lights are on. That means no go.
They've got it wrong. They've all got it wrong. No,
this is another formation lap.
It's
another formation lap.
It's not. It's
when
not.
It starts aborted, they do go round again.
No, there's not. If it's an aborted start, then it's not an extra formation lap because the green lights aren't on. Look, only the 3 lights are on. It's not an aborted start with an extra formation lap. It's an aborted start. The entire field have now gone on an extra formation lap because they think that's the rule when it's not the rule. It's an aborted start.
We don't know if message we were showing there is not necessarily the one that they were all told from race
our
direction.
timing screens, which does have it, just says aborted start. Now, there's a difference. Aborted start, which means look, half the field, they know it. Look, they know the rules. They've all stayed on the grid because that's the rule. Look.
No, they haven't. Look.
No, we've got no, because they've all done it wrong. What are they doing? This is calamity, Jane.
They're following the lead, thinking, we must do this. There's only 5 of them actually thinking, no, this is what we not.
The 5 drivers on the grid have got it spot on. They know the rules. It's an aborted start. The FIA have not indicated that it is an extra formation lap. Max, don't
Bottas has gone.
They're all going. What's going on here?
Okay. Grid slot. Yeah, all sorts of procedures have been breached here, Max.
Yes!
We're looking into it. Should not have started.
They're right. They're right. Red Bull know the rules. It's an aborted start. No point in the regulations did they say extra formation lap. At no point. It's an aborted start, which means you stay on the grid if you get told.
And you wait for it to actually fix.
Everyone's in the wrong order now as well.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to red flag this and stop it. And we've got the rain coming in. Oh, Formula 1 has gone... Right, we've reduced it to 70 laps because we've had to. But this is ludicrous. The rules state that it is if the 3 amber lights come on, it's an aborted start. If the 3 amber lights come on, followed by the 2 green lights, that indicates it's an extra formation lap. lap. Everybody else has just rolled forward thinking it's an extra formation lap. It's not. It's an aborted start, which means we stay on the grid. And Colapinto was too far forward in his original grid spot. Everything's been thrown up in the air. I've never seen anything like it. It's completely ridiculous. Yeah, he started 14th, not where he's supposed to. That was where Hamilton was supposed to be. This is unbelievable. Norris should not have left the grid. Even Chris Medland's noticed it because it didn't say extra formation lap. I have never seen it. Norris is going to get a penalty now and probably half the grid. I've never seen this calamity before.
So basically he could have just ruined his championship.
Well, now the car's out of the way, do we start the race and start dishing out penalties? Officially, the start is but we've got half the grid stationary, there's no Gasly, and half the field haven't even lined up, and the rest of the field have been lined up for over a minute. This is ludicrous. Look, the amber lights are on, which indicates it's an aborted start. I think they've put a message up saying don't move.
2 gaps on the grid.
Yeah, this mess was caused from the front. We're just trying to unpick it.
So the question of...
You did the right thing.
Yeah, Max, aborted start. And now, look, here they all come. The field come out to the circuit. All the mechanics come back out. It's an aborted start. They shouldn't have left. Everybody who left the grid, starting with Lando Norris, is going to get a hefty fine from race control. They were told to... Formation lap will now start in 10 minutes' time. They were told not to move from the grid. They did move from the grid. I've never seen such a calamity in all my life. And they've got to read the rule books. I knew what was going on. It didn't say extra formation lap. It's an aborted start. Start procedure suspended. Well, this weekend, when the FIA rules have been really up the duff, they've really screwed up the race start. It's now a 70-lap Grand Prix. And Norris has now been noted for start procedure infringement.
Oh my
The one weekend where he needed to be normal to get points of Verstappen, he's now going to be disqualified from the race. I don't believe it.
So he's just ruined his
them
championship.
qualifying.
But he breached the start procedure. He left the grid. So did Russell. They shouldn't have done so.
It reminds me a lot of Nürburgring 99.
Yes,
if you remember where they half the front runners all jumped the start. They just aborted it and did it again. I think you're right. The worst will be maybe a slap on the wrist, a fine for McLaren for basically telling Norris to go when they shouldn't have. They might just let the race go as normal.
Right, we're going to hand over to Sky F1 then, so we can do the birthday cake. Let's hand over to Sky Sports. Yeah, good timing.
Of this race, we're going to have at least one more formation lap, so it will be a 69-lap race under green flag conditions, unless we get a safety car or anything else. But who gave Lando Norris the call to move off the grid? Because is that something the driver would have done himself and made that call himself, or would he be instructed by the pit wall? What would have been the procedure at Aston Martin, Bernie?
Well, the procedure changes year on year with these things.
Let's just look through it here. Sorry, Bernie. It's just,
there was no green light.
There's no green light. It said aborted start, and there was no green light. Sorry, Bernie, pick up.
So often at that point, what you'll see where we've seen aborted start up there in text, you'll see extra formation lap is what they should have seen at that point. You'll get the lights, the green, like you say. In this one, I've just quickly went through the regs. So aborted start does say wait for further update. Now, the rules changed a few years ago that all of the engineers can now speak to the drivers through those laps, through the laps to grid, through their formation lap, and therefore give them the information. So it is, I've not gone through the radio comms, I will go through it shortly, but it is the onus a little bit on the pit wall there because they can give the driver the information. We used to end up with actually a cut down version of the regs, like a flow chart. If this happens, what happens next? If this happens, what should you do? What is the procedure for the driver? So lots and lots of sheets to go through. But yes, like you say, the driver should be thinking, if there's no green light, you shouldn't go ahead.
Absolutely. The driver needs to be focusing on what they need to do for the launch. At that stage, he's done, you know, he needs to be focusing on what his perfect start. He can't be thinking of the regs, and he needs help from the pit wall to say, don't go anywhere or go ahead.
He is under investigation, Lando Norris, with the FIA stewards for a starting procedure infringement. Question is, what penalty, if any, does Lando Norris get if they find him guilty?
So, all I'd say, Lance Stroll has had 2 crashes today, and both times impacted the 2 different championship contenders.
He certainly has.
keep talking, because I might be able to find out the answer here to what penalty he might be able to get.
All right, you look up the rules. I will look at those clouds hovering over downtown Sao Paulo and moving swiftly towards the circuit. There is Charles Leclerc. I guess, as I was saying before, a lot of the cars did go, but I suppose the way it's being investigated is, Bernie, that Lando went and the others followed suit.
Lando was the first car, and in a way will take the burden of responsibility, I think, a little bit for having moved off the grid. Now, a lot of drivers waited, like we've seen Verstappen waited, made it absolutely clear that his intention was not to go until pushed a little bit from the pit wall to do it. So there's going to be a lot to unpick from the FIA to make sure who did what when with what intention.
There's an awful lot of penalties and rules and regs for which drivers can be given penalties, and I can't see on my penalty point guidelines for the stewards what the penalty is for a starting procedure infringement when a driver moves off the line when it says aborted start before a green light.
I have to say, this feels unprecedented to me.
It does.
I can't remember a time that it happened, but we've already discussed many times this weekend that my memory is pretty shocking. So.
No, I think this is unprecedented, where Paul has, or the driver on pole has driven off. So I think this is new territory. Would they treat it, Crofty, you think, as the same as a jump start violation?
Well, yes, Sergio Perez got that 5 seconds for being out of place, and that was a starting procedure infringement, wasn't it? Or a starting grid infringement. I would imagine the 5 seconds is about what the stewards would give.
Yeah.
There is an argument that, yes, Lando Norris, clearly from what we've seen, went too quickly, but others followed him as well. So do you penalise everybody or just the leader of the pack?
And Bernie's quick little research suggested that the wording should have said abandoned start. So
I actually want to change my answer on that, and it does in the reg say aborted start.
Okay,
So it does say aborted start for
all
that.
right, okay, so that's no defence there. So yeah, I guess do other people get done? We'll see, because ultimately, Crofty, it's the old speeding camera violation, isn't it? If you get caught speeding doing 80 in a 70, then just because else, 3 cars in front of you also did it, it doesn't mean you get away with it.
Ted Kravitz, down to you.
So let me tell you what's going on down the pits. All the mechanics, having run down to the grid to keep the cars cool, to change tyres if they needed to, and to top up anything else that they needed to, have done that. They're all now pouring back from there. So if the mechanics hadn't had a long enough day, Crofty, out of bed at 4 a.m., then it's even worse for them now. But it looks like we're getting towards the end of that. Carlos Sainz, by the way, is still at the end of the pit lane. His intermediate tyres wrapped up in some tyre blankets. But yeah, I've got to say, I mean, if Checo Perez was in Mexico was 5 seconds penalty, it's kind of worse if you run a red light, isn't it? So I'm kind of thinking it's they'll be lucky to get away with just 5 penalties. The naughty boys who ran the red light.
Yeah, technically it was amber, but that's just a colour infringement there on that one. I know what you're saying. We'll keep you posted, ladies and gentlemen.
Yet another reason to add to my list of not wanting to ever be a steward.
Yeah, certainly not unpaid as well for that one. So the fans still wait patiently, and the next formation lap will start in 2.5 minutes' time.
I do love the fans here. They turn up, rain or shine. It doesn't dampen their spirit. They're brilliant. And look at all those bits of yellow all through that. Those are still the Ayrton Senna fans. So much merch, Crofty. As I walked through the fan area yesterday, Senna still outselling all of the other drivers here.
And there's Max Verstappen waiting down in P17. Worth pointing out that he will pass Michael Schumacher's record today of 896 consecutive days in the lead of a driver's championship. Whatever happens in the race, he'll still be in the lead come the end of it. That is a phenomenal achievement, to be at the top of the table for that long and to keep that focus for such a long time as well. I would imagine he would like to have gone into surpassing that record in a much better grid spot, but such is life, and that's the way it's all turned out for him today.
he did the donkey work at the start of the season, doesn't it? You know, it kind of feels a bit like Jenson Button's championship in 2009.
Just about to say Brawn in 2009.
Yeah, and then he sort of did the donkey work early, and then the others are coming out, particularly Lando. I mean, if you take away the first 5 races, right, Norris will be leading the championship by 5 points.
Yeah,
that shows just how much of an advantage Red Bull and Max in particular, of course, had in those opening 5 races, and did a brilliant job, you know, in that phase. But it's just since then.
And I think 13 of those points have come in the sprint races, including yesterday. 1 minute to go. 13 points from Max Verstappen, I should say, ahead of Lando Norris, who's under investigation then by the stewards. And we'll have to lead them round on an extra formation lap once again. And we've already lost Alex Albon from this race after qualifying. The Williams team tried their hardest to fix that car, but all to no avail. They got Lance Stroll's car at Aston Martin fixed and ready, but just under braking down at turn 4, he went out onto the runoff area and then managed to get the car beached in the gravel. So more disappointment for Lance Stroll, who this time last year started 3rd on the grid and finished 5th.
Yeah, I hope he buys his mechanics a large drink and some dinner tonight, because they've done an awful lot of work repairing that car, only to see it drive off and do 3 corners.
And it means, of course, he didn't start, so he'll remain tied with Jacques Villeneuve for the record amount of race starts by a Canadian driver. That record is not his. Until we go to Las Vegas, ladies and gentlemen, in a few weeks' time. And Vegas promises to be an absolute thriller once again. Can't wait to get under the lights of Las Vegas and see what we've got there. Should be a brilliant, brilliant weekend. Right, we're off again for a formation lap. Let's see if everyone can stay on the track this time, and let's see if we can get a start underway here.
Yeah, well, look at Lando there. You see the tyre tracks, the wheel tracks on there, just zigzagging around. You see cars still crawling, you know, as Hamilton and Verstappen crawling on. Norris is already at turn 6 at this stage.
What's the weather doing, Bernie Collins? Is it starting to rain?
Well, it's just blown up on the radar there. There's this big burst of cloud that's just come. It's going to hit the last bit of the track, 12, 13, 14 first.
So we've got Norris under investigation here as they set off on the 2nd parade lap, but we've got no idea what is going to happen. It's spitting with rain, we're being told. Come on, Ed.
Yeah, they were just, Sky just had Bernie Collins on. Bernie Collins said there was a lot of rain coming towards turn 14, so the back end of the circuit. There's a big cloud that's coming towards them. Of course, because this start's been delayed, it makes it much more likely the rain's going to hit earlier than a lot of the teams were anticipating when they were planning their strategies. So any strategy you had, that's gone out the window now.
Yeah.
And of course, we've already lost 2 cars from this race before it's even started.
2?
How many?
Well, Albon's out.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I was going to say.
Can I just say?
Go on.
I'd like to say, well, Norris, you're an idiot, and it is starting to rain, but Norris, thank you very much,
What if
Lando.
McLaren told him to do that?
Yeah.
He's got to follow what the team tell him. He can't be thinking, oh, well, the regulation says, but he's got to be focusing on his start, because he doesn't know what's
Very
happened
true,
to Lance
yeah.
Stroll the other side of the circuit.
I will just say thank you very much, though, to McLaren and to Lando Norris, because that enabled us just to quickly do the happy birthday for Zara with the candle. So, teeth gritted.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you, Ed. We've just blown out her candles as well. 1 candle and sang happy birthday. And it's now raining. Zara, this is your birthday present. Rain in Sao Paulo.
Oh, what a first birthday.
Oh, this is going to be fantastic, isn't it? Let's have a crescendo. It's raining. It's a standing start. Lando Norris is under investigation for a starting procedure infringement. We've got 70 laps ahead of us then, not 71. They've cancelled it out. Stroll's out. Albon's out. Standing start in wet weather at Interlagos. What could possibly go wrong? Uphill to turn 1 in the centre S. The lights come on. 3, 4, 5. Drama begins. with action in Brazil. It's a good start from actually Esteban Ocon and Liam Lawson, the top two of Norris and Russell. Very slow away. Round the outside comes Yuki Tsunoda as well. He's under pressure now. Lawson's going to go around the outside of all of them into turn one. Lawson's on the inside line. He has to back out of it. Here comes Charles Leclerc on the inside line. Did they all make it through? Yes, they did. Max Verstappen still struggling further back. Round Curva de Sol and the Retroposta towards Ticino de Laga. And here comes Piastri battling with Lawson. Lawson holding on for sixth. Leclerc's up to fifth. Rain coming, sparks are flying, and now all of a sudden we've got to contend with very slippery surfaces. Good start there, Megs.
That was almost enough for Liam Lawson, just fair. And Alonso is doing well to keep on the track, though almost lost it further back down the field. And where's Max Verstappen in this? He's gone up into 11th.
Right behind Hamilton.
Yeah, and Ed, Hamilton's trying to have a go now as well with Gasly. And Hamilton and Verstappen are battling together.
Oh, and Hamilton pushes Max Verstappen wide and into the path of Franco Colapinto himself. Is having a fantastic duel with Bottas, I think, in the Kick Sauber, and the Haas of, I think that's Ollie Behrman in 13th as well. There we go, Behrman muscles Bottas out the way.
Oh, and Perez is round!
Pato, and round goes Perez.
Perez spins it, doesn't beach it, he'll get it going, and that's dropped him right to the back of the field, of course. So Perez loops it, looking he wasn't collected by anybody, just got in the dirt there, Ed.
Russell leads.
Russell leads! How did that happen? When did that happen?
Start of the race, first corner.
Russell's got the lead. Norris is down into second place. So Norris had a terrible getaway. I said he wasn't getting a good traction. Russell leads, just like he did in 2022, the opening lap. And again, at the circuit, as Verstappen dies on the inside of Hamilton at the center rest, Hamilton backs out of it. But it's interesting for Lando Norris, as that is his first time. He's moved up one position on the grid from where he qualified on every visit to the circuit here so far. And he's now lost it on the opening lap. Wow.
Yeah, it's always a tricky one, the first corner, because you're sort of positioned on the odd side of the grid, essentially. So someone gets the better run from the racing line. It can be a little bit tricky to defend from. But yeah, it's certainly not over for Lando Norris just yet if he can keep George Russell in sight. But the more Max Verstappen starts picking off the cars behind, especially the RBs, you wouldn't think are going to hold them up for too long. Particularly, but yeah, now that he's cleared Hamilton, that was the main threat here, he can now focus on Gasly and Alonso, and then Piastri, of course, who's certainly going to have to get the anchors out like he did in the sprint race.
Behrman's been reminded that there's still no DRS at the moment. It's light rain at the moment. Winds at 2.5 kilometres, but there are heavier rain coming at 10 past the hour in 20 minutes. So
I love how it just says rain, yes.
Yeah, I said that earlier on in the pre-show. It's funny how it just says it. Russell leads, Hamilton's up 3 places, biggest winner Colapinto up 4, Verstappen up 7.
Verstappen 7, yeah, I think that's the biggest winner.
Yeah, I did see Verstappen actually, he's already up to 10th place. There's no stopping him, is there, with a brand new Barrett engine?
Not unless someone takes him off.
It's a really weird juxtaposition, isn't it, at the moment, Ed, because we've got sunshine to one, but rain at the back sector.
Yeah, it's all the spray being kicked up as well as the Hasses go side by side, and Hülkenberg is just crowded out by Oliver Behrman into turn 1 there. So the Hasses start to get physical, but the more they fight each other, the more Colapinto gets away here. So Haas can't afford to let this chance get away from them, but they clearly don't look as comfortable in wet conditions as they did in the dry.
Yeah, Olivia Newton-Behrman's going to want to try it. Heavy rains now in Sector 3.
Do you know what I reckon?
What?
One of the drivers in the major teams are going to get taken off.
Oh, well, unbelievably so, yeah, I'm with you on that.
I don't reckon it will be a Red Bull.
Russell's done a 1:25.8, 26.2 for Norris, so...
It's going to be for a Mercedes or McLaren, I bet.
Russell's the only driver in the 125s, advantage Leclerc advantage. I think Leclerc as well, he's in P5 and he's battling with Ocon, so all coming in there as well. Russell is just flying out there on fastest laps.
Well, battling Ocon's just like tempting the chaos fate.
Now they say it's heavy rain in Sector 3. We're in Sector 3 now at Zhengkao, up super to boxes, and I can't see anything on the onboards to show it's heavy rain right now as we ride with Charles Leclerc.
A bit more spray as they go uphill though.
Yeah, you're right. And this is actually, do you remember in qualifying and where it gets with the rain? Yeah, it is heavy rain now. This is where it collects, doesn't it, in these sort of narrow, box-like infield pit lane. It's got nowhere to drain from there. It's concrete walls either side, so it just sort of stays together like a lake.
Does, yeah, hence the Interlagos in between lakes name of the circuit. But yeah, Norris doesn't look particularly slower than Russell. In fact, he's gone quicker actually.
Exactly.
So obviously the fastest lap's a bit
this
premature.
Increased rain intensity will last around 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay, so not that long for the heavy rain. Fair news.
Yes, if you can keep it out on the inters and not have to switch to the full wets, you could gain big here. So some of the minnow teams might gamble, whereas the others might just play it safe.
Yeah, everyone now saying that Sector 3 is going to be the worst of the weather conditions. Kind of expected that. Omi's watching down in the pit lane, though, from all of this. Omi, what have you made of the start and all that mess with Norris, of course, still under investigation?
Yep, absolutely. Big old mess right at the start. Then when the race properly got underway, just brilliant launch from Russell, straight to the inside, straight to the lead, and he was able to get through as well. Verstappen, though, brilliant stuff from him. He's now attacking Gasly.
Gasly,
in trouble.
Colapinto's off too. There's someone gone round. Green flag's out.
Behrman,
yeah, Ed got it spot on. Behrman's gone round. Brief yellow flag came out there.
It's fine now.
Yeah, it was
Look how much curve Verstappen takes. Oh, as he just squirrels on the power uphill out of Jun Chao. But that was a little bit risky as Norris continues to close on George Russell. Sonoda is starting to look comfortable because Ocon is doing a great job holding up Leclerc.
Here comes Verstappen on the inside of Gasly in towards the centre. S is going to leave the inside. Gasly jumps out of his way. He knows he can't defend against the Red Bull, otherwise he'll end up off the circuit. It's not his race today, but Gasly's got the better speed. It's all about slipstream here, not about DRS. It hasn't been enabled. You want to make an overtake here, you've got to do so with battery power and skill and the old-fashioned toe. Let's have a look at the start then, Megs.
Right, so George Russell got a very good start to begin with. I think the reason why Max got such a good start was because no one was in front of him.
Yeah.
So it was easy for him to just get by. I mean, Perez had no one in front of him either, but...
Good, yeah, good spot that. It was Russell who got ahead of Norris in turn one. I was focusing on the three-way battle at the front. Didn't even spot that.
As was I.
Yeah, I didn't even spot Russell and jumped ahead. Brilliant start. They both didn't get away well, Ed. Norris struggled the most. It was Lawson and Ocon. I noticed got a great start.
Yeah, the second phase of the start from Russell was really, really good, actually. They were both pretty equal on the first phase, and then he crowds out Norris all the way to the outside just to keep him off the ideal line. Lawson has a little think about attacking both his teammate and Esteban Ocon before deciding that he actually does want to have stay in Formula 1 and have the Red Bull drive next year. And especially with Perez spinning, that certainly helped his case. But this is Verstappen's start. You see he gets a great launch off the line compared to the teams around him. And then that's Bottas right ahead of him, and then Hamilton on the inside. There's Colapinto. So yes, Max actually taking it quite cautious through turn 2, and then finding a load of grip around the outside at a Curva do Sol.
Here's the contact. This is Behrman. Oh, that's Perez spinning around on the.
Perez on his own.
Yeah, no contact there. Now, it's Behrman and Colapinto have been noted for causing a collision. We haven't seen a replay of that just yet, as Russell and Norris together. Verstappen's passed Alonso already for 8th position as things stand, and a lot more rain at the top of Ferradura now as they come through down into turn number 8 and 9. Looks to be okay so far, so expecting heavier rain coming at 10 past the hour. Although that will force a full safety car or move over to full wet tyres. At the moment, it's unknown. But
I can't wait for this rain.
Yeah, to be honest with you, this is the best part of the race where we've got it through. Incident involving Russell, Sonoda and Lawson also noted for starting procedure infringement.
What?
So it's not just going to be Lando Norris. Every driver who left the grid initially is going to be investigated in this procedure. Behrman and Colapinto are under review for causing a collision, so Russell now as well. They've all been noted. Not an investigation as of yet, though, Ed.
It feels a bit silly, though, because, like, oh, well, if you waited the extra half a second and sent a message to the pit saying, should I go now? Will you avoid penalty? That seems ludicrous to me.
All the drivers who initially left the grid are going to be noted for the starting procedure infringement. Interesting. Ed, do you reckon this is a system where the FIA should be able to directly talk to the drivers like we see in Formula E?
Potentially. Well, I think we get those rain messages broadcast, but yeah, obviously it's much more, you need immediate reactions when you have Scott Elkins come on the radio and say, attention all drivers, somebody stuffed it into the barrier at sector 3 and we're going to put out a safety car, essentially, so be prepared to stop, or there's a red flag or something like that. So I think that immediacy is quite helpful, and especially as Formula E is going to keep those procedures even though it goes to slightly bigger circuits. And there's a turn 10 collision between Behrman and Colapinto under investigation. So that is that Bico de Pato turn 10?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So,
yeah, Megs.
Do you know what I reckon should happen?
What?
Of course, fine, because that's natural that they do that. But I think that the drivers who initially did that should have to go to a class regarding that particular area which they failed to learn.
Read the rules, basically. Yeah.
It's like a bit like detention in schools. It's like, okay, you don't know this, so obviously you need to relearn it, and we'll test you on it.
Problem is,
it's team fine. All the teams said the same message as drivers. Basically, McLaren said to Norris, "Okay, you better go," because they mistakenly clearly thought it was aborted. Do another lap, formation lap, and then we'll do the restart again. When it was just, like you say, aborted start. So we see Norris continuing to close on George Russell, get almost within a second now, and now Piastri similarly is being caught by Verstappen as Piastri's failed to make any inroads on Lawson here.
Really is a strange Brazilian Grand Prix, as it always is. Lap 8 of 70, 63 laps to go. Russell leads by now over a second to Lando Norris, so even if DRS was enabled, it's not going to go. I must say, exciting start. It's all quieting down now because we're all just waiting for rain and intermediates. They're all just saving their tyres up now. So
is there such a thing as an ordinary Brazilian Grand Prix, Josh? Because I don't think I've seen one yet.
No. It always starts like this, doesn't it? Then everything just sort of goes nuts with about half an hour to go. Always happens. We saw this back in 2003, actually, very similar conditions. The race started dramatically behind the safety car, had a couple of laps, then it all quietened down, and then it just kept going because as drivers got more confident, they started making more mistakes, more crashes, safety cars, and then somebody let the bun van roof open and all the water came down at Curva de Sol for some reason, and in just a giant river that caught out Pitzonia, Montoya, Button,
Michael Schumacher.
Behrman has been given a 10-second time penalty for causing a collision with Colapinto.
It was his fault.
But how's Colapinto in 13th and Behrman's in 16th and Behrman's got the time penalty?
So it was his fault?
Yeah, but what happened?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we don't know. They didn't show a replay because Formula One seem to think just watching nothing happening is more interesting.
I'm confused how that's happened and how he's got a penalty considering that, as I said, Colapinto's up to 13th.
Well, I've been telling you all day that he is after people.
Yes, Behrman is after people. You saw it in qualifying, we've seen it today as well. So that's Ollie Behrman's first penalty in Formula One, if I'm not very much mistaken.
I believe so.
So, yeah, great job for him to get it all run through. We've got NASCAR later on tonight, let's not forget. Nothing's done for that yet, so we're just going to literally go on here and go, hi, let's race.
You'll need my laptop, won't you?
Yes.
What time?
7 till 11, I believe. I'm not sure. Hamilton radio.
It's really bad. Car bouncing so much.
Hamilton's complaining about the ride of the car now as well and how it's bouncing too much, as we see.
I wonder if Russell's having to deal with that as well, or they've got different specs of Mercedes they're using.
Well, I've got Russell's onboard on, and he looks quite stable, to be honest with you. He looks fine.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be having any problems.
No, as we now look at Verstappen closing on Piastri. This is crucial for the championship of the Constructors. Piastri's going to have to go defensive here. Verstappen goes to the inside. Why is no one defending against Max Verstappen at the moment? Everyone's just letting him through. It's a really weird situation.
Verstappen came from a long way back there. Let's see what Piastri does at the Curva de Sol, though.
A little bit of a twitch. Down Retroposta towards Ticino de Larga. And are we going to see... No, he's too far ahead. Verstappen comfortably takes 7th position. So we thought we were going to have a banger. It's turning into a bit of a snooze fest at the moment here at Interlagos.
Praying for that rain.
That's what they're all waiting for right now.
Anything to mess up the grid.
It's what they're waiting for, the heavier rain that's coming in, and we know it's coming. So, effectively, we're just in cruise control right now. Because they know
the thing is, if the heavier rain comes and the race gets red flagged and not continued because the heavy rain just continues unabated, then potentially you need to make those moves now before the race ends effectively.
Yeah.
If it ends early, so people know.
They should really go for it, you're right, Ed, because we've completed 10 rounds.
Oh!
Well, that's harsh to give Behrman a penalty.
Ollie, we have a 10-second penalty for the collision with Colapinto.
Right.
10?
You didn't even lose any time.
Yeah, but you ran
It's not based on the outcome, it's based on the fact that he bumped into the back of him. And so I think that's absolutely justified.
Okay, please tell me I'm not the only one who read that as 5 multiple times and
It's
even
10.
looked up to it closer, so it said 5.
It's 10. It's been 10 seconds. It flashed up on the time screen 10 seconds. It's.
I'm not lying.
I would have said a 5-second would have been good enough. Why is everything now 10? It's weird.
Yeah, I would have given it a 5. I would have even given it a penalty because what was he meant to do?
Johnny Herbert's really trying not meant to friends, is he, at the moment in the paddock?
Oh,
you get a penalty. You get a penalty. You get a penalty.
Oprah Herbert as well. Go on, Ed.
Fastest lap for Max Verstappen. Yeah, I feel like Behrman, obviously, he's got the perspective of, oh, well, I hit him, but he's fine and I lost position, so I already suffered, so I shouldn't get a penalty, which is not really how infringements sort of work. As you look at Verstappen making a dive on Liam Lawson. Lawson left just enough space for him there, so that was just close enough to not look coordinated there between the two Red Bull teams.
Up into 6th position now for Max Verstappen. He has got the fast lap as well, a 124.015, so they've swapped
He's just
over.
been really good on the brakes as Max, so
He's
this has been
been
pretty
good.
impressive to watch so far.
11 laps, he's made up 11 places, so yeah, 1 position a lap. So it's been really strong from him.
Made
actually.
up 6 from on lap 1.
Yeah, he did. It's an amazing start from Max at the moment. And Russell with the fastest lap. Yellow flag set to 3. And
that is...
it's Hamilton off the track. And
He's
Jun
fine.
Cao, he gets back on. Just ran it wide.
Told you one of them would go off.
Yeah, you're right. Yellow flag retrieved. We go back to green flag running, but Hamilton was the one who went off the circuit. He's got Colapinto now all at the back as well, coming with Bottas and Sainz, Behrman, Perez and Zhou over the line. Hamilton should be able to defend this from Colapinto, but I feel like he might not even want to. Colapinto makes a move on the inside, and the Argentine fans go nuts. And the Brazilian fans don't know what to say here because they've got
They're
their two
conflicted.
heroes side by side.
They're very conflicted right now.
Hamilton lets him through, Colapinto
I hear
goes by, and the fans cheering as well.
They've chosen.
Yeah, the Argentine fans.
It looked like they were
Go on.
very reluctant to let him through, though, was Hamilton, because he
was.
kept his nose alongside through the second part of the center S, which is not really what you do if you're letting someone through, as there is that Behrman, picking off Bottas, and now Perez starting to recover ground as well. So the Saubers, very sadly, after a brilliant qualifying, Bottas ending up roughly where his car should actually be in terms of its actual race pace.
Yeah, and Zhou's 4 seconds back to Bottas as well. So Zhou's having a nightmare race. He's just on a 125.544. Fast lap is a 123.928. Can't really compare apples with oranges, but in this instance, it really is quite bad. This is what happened to Hamilton then, Ed. I think it's just going to lock up at Jun Cao.
So he's going through Mergulio. He's right behind his lad Gasly ahead of him, I think.
Yeah.
And then it's Jun Cao. Oh, it locks up and goes straight on him. That is pretty bizarre. Hard to tell from the helmet cam what actually happened there, because it's just bumping around all over the place, even at low speed.
News from the stewards. FIA incident involving car for Norris will be investigated after the race for starting procedure infringement. FIA stewards incident involving cars 63 Russell, 22 Tsunoda and 30 Lawson will be investigated after the race for starting procedure infringement. So this race is going to have a cloud over it.
But I think doing the investigation after the race is the right decision in this, because you need to take so much into account rather than doing a sort of Verstappen in Mexico where it's obvious that he deserves a penalty and I need to apply it mid-race. So I think the FIA, considering the mess they made, they seem to have tried to recover it as best they can. But I think, to be honest, race direction takes some of the blame there as well for not being clear until way too late whether they wanted to abort the start, and then not communicating clearly enough to the teams whether it was going to be aborted start plus formation lap or just aborted start, period. Because usually what I think the teams were expecting was aborted start plus formation lap, and then they clearly didn't respond to the message properly.
We now expect this rain until lap 30 for Piastri, and that's the rain that is starting to come down bang on at 10. So this is where we were expecting it to happen. As they fly down towards
35.
the one. Yeah.
35
minutes.
No, point gap.
Oh, right. 35 points gap as it stands now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's getting in closer and closer, isn't it? With 3 to go and a sprint.
Look at the Tsunoda train. So he's holding up Ocon, Leclerc, and now Verstappen has coasted up to the back of them. So Charles Leclerc, you think, would put up more of a fight, but unfortunately he's sort of stuck at the back of this train and not able to make progress. So, yeah, Verstappen, Tsunoda's really helping them out here by bunching them together.
All sort of looping it in now, aren't they? They've got to sort of hold the tyres and sort of hold the advantage. Who disconnected? Who did?
I can hear the race. I couldn't see the race.
Has the TV pictures gone off? Oh, I'll go.
The TV pictures account disconnected.
I'll go sort it, and I'll hand over to Megan.
Right. Well, see, I didn't say right so, I said right well. Right.
Gotta give him the lack of respect, right, Megan?
Yeah, it's like I said right well. No. Fastest lap is currently Max Verstappen's with a 1:23.430, And if this rain... Oh, I just saw the rain starting to pick up a bit. I mean, it's not that much, though. It's starting to slightly pick up. I've just noticed that.
Piastri was told there we go. Look, we got pictures back. But Piastri was told lap 30 then. So McLaren, are they using their old estimates? Maybe it's coming 15 laps early.
Maybe either that, or it's just a very slow moving for rain. It's one of the two. Why are the Las Vegas things on the side?
Because Liberty Media really want to push Las Vegas as the only F1 race that matters apart from maybe Monaco.
Silverstone right now is feeling very sad.
It's almost like we can't appreciate the race we're at the moment because there are all these ads for Las Vegas Grand Prix. I find that really irritating. I agree, Megan.
Like, I could see, like, hashtag Brazil GP, but it's on boards behind the actual barriers.
No idea what happened to the TV pictures there. Discord just was disconnected. So, Colapinto's on his that time deleted there. Hamilton trying to go on the inside of Colapinto! Didn't work out on the onboard camera. Can you see it, Ed?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Excellent.
Yeah, I was just seeing the picture of Lewis with his wobbly cam, or the stabilizer cam, I should say, as he's just approaching Big Eddie Pato now, and he's giving Colapinto a lot of grief after passing him, saying, "How dare you take advantage of my mistake? I'm a 7-time world champion. Who are you, Franco Colapinto, Formula 2 race winner? 5 points to your name in Formula 1, or whatever it is. No, it's 6, isn't it?
Yeah,
but
still more than Bottas.
Still more than Sargent.
And Joe.
Well, yeah, yeah. Speaking of Discord, I had this when I was commentating on 8 hours of Monza yesterday. My dad came in about with 40 minutes left to go, and about an hour or 40 minutes left to go in the stint, effectively, my commentary stint, and said, "Oh, we're going out to see the play now." As Gasly clears Alonso for 9th, and now Verstappen is very close to the back of Charles Leclerc.
What happened with your dad?
Okay, right. Dad came in and said, "Oh, we're actually leaving now." And I said, "I said we were. You told me we were leaving at 6, and I said I'd be commentating at about 6."
Struggling to overtake, so slow on the straight.
Well, it's got no DRS, and they're struggling behind a Mercedes. Yeah. So, did you end up finishing the race?
No, we got someone else to take over. I did
that's
have to leave at like 5:15 or whatever it was. But I still did about over 3 hours of commentary, so I was pretty exhausted by the end of it. And got to see the Whitby Rebels, the play about the people on the yacht, the boat. Yeah, it was a boat, trying to go to north of Greenland or Iceland or wherever to plant the plaque or whatever, and it turning into a bit of a nightmare. But it was towards the end. My TeamSpeak was starting to play up, and Discord was going as well. So I ended up getting Discord up on my phone to get the pictures, and then TeamSpeak, the other commentator, Cam Roger, every commentator I was working with, started to sound like a robot. So it's like I was understanding about half of what he was saying and having to think about it, and then sort of say, "Well, I agree with you," and then sort of make a point and hope it wasn't the same point that he was making. But yeah, I was clearly bigger rain expected in 15 minutes. Alonso's told by the Aston Martin pit wall.
4:30 UK time. That would be 1:30 over there in the racing circuit at Brazil. So, everything coming alive here in Sao Paulo. Lap 17 of 70. Russell leads to Norris. The gap now 0.7 of a second. Then we get Tsunoda, Ocon, Leclerc, Verstappen, Lawson, Piastri, Gasly and Alonso in the top 10. After that, we get Hülkenberg, Colapinto, Hamilton, Sainz, Behrman, Perez, Bottas and Zhou. Albon didn't start the race. Neither technically did Lance Stroll after crashing on the formation lap, and resulting in a delayed start procedure, an aborted start, which then changed the entire complexion of the race as Norris left the grid under the aborted start with no signal from race control to do so. Half the field then went with him, and now we've got Norris, Russell, Tsunoda and Lawson being investigated after the race for a breach at the start. Norris didn't get away well. Russell went to the inside line and got the lead of the race. 3 abreast between Lawson and Ocon and Tsunoda, with them taking in turns. Leclerc and Verstappen passing Lawson, and the top 4 have remained as they were since lap 1, of course, with Russell overtaking Norris. We're now watching the leaders into Ferradura. Russell ahead of Norris by half a second. Now they had changed something, Megan. McLaren look like they're stronger again.
Yeah, I've just noticed Fat Lando seems to be looking a bit stronger.
It's getting slippery with these wide tyres in the wet here.
So, not very good right now for Haas.
This way we're going to start seeing the mistakes then, isn't it, as well? Bold wets when more rain's coming. It's going to be quite spicy.
You might get fed up with winters, especially if you're like very bad. If nothing to lose, you might be to do so. Perez, for example, as well. And potentially go much earlier than others are prepared to, and sort of anticipate the rain. But for Perez, Sergio might want to not go along with that. But yeah, the problem for Norris here, best chance to overtake is down the straight, and in the wet, the two Mercedes engined cars don't really have, the McLaren doesn't really have an advantage. If it was in the dry, not only would there be less spray to deal with offline, but also DRS as well, helping the McLaren. I mean, they've got that special DRS that was a controversy way back when the season, like in Baku or whatever, where there was all this controversy about the DRS flap is a little bit opens a little bit too easily. Sainz has got up to 13th past Hamilton,
Something went on
so
there.
that is impressive.
That was out of the last corner. Sainz breezed past him. So I wonder if Hamilton's had a little secondary error. I'll have to keep an eye on him.
I think Hamilton's he's sort of thinking this isn't really worth it because my back is hurting because of all the bumps.
He's literally thinking that as well. Oh, Norris.
6 or 7 laps or so. We need to get to the rain and then make the right time when to stop.
And Hamilton's going defensive against Ollie Behrman. He's almost forcing him off the track. Behrman's got the inside line into turn 4. Downhill. He forces Hamilton wide, and he's a beautiful move by not forcing him off the circuit. Behrman's up to 14th. Hamilton down to 15th. Colapinto noted for leaving the track and getting an advantage. Norris now being told on the radio, we missed the beginning of that as we see a replay of Hamilton making a mistake. And I told you it was out of Juncal. He got us slightly wide. He locked up again.
Oh, he braked on the paint. That was what happened. Yeah, you couldn't really see it from the driver's eye point of view because he's so low to the ground. But if you look at it, he's going right to the outside, brakes on the paint, it locks up and goes straight on. It's a very weird one, but yeah. I wonder as well if the earlier off, if Lewis got some grass stuck under the sort of floor or radiator of his car as well, because it just does not look like it's handling all that well.
Behrman's proving that he's good. He's got that 10-second time penalty. We can serve that in the pit lane later. Let's hear what Lando Norris had to say on the radio that we missed a few moments ago.
We think the time might become slick to medium in maybe 6 or 7 laps or so. We need to get to the rain and then make the right time when to stop.
So they think that their tyre is going to go to the slick to medium, which means that the innermost part of the tyre towards the centre of the car becomes a slick, and the outer tyre becomes a opportunity at the back as well as it comes into it. So that's how it all works out. So here comes Carlos Sainz again on the run to the inside of Franco Colapinto, downhill towards turn number 4. Can't get through on the inside there. Desperately tried to have a look on the inside line, but it became an advantage to not get through. But yeah, I reckon as well we could have it go through, as we just had Elliot come through for pick up his wing.
Car's not dry a little bit. I'm blocking up, bouncing everywhere. Understood.
See this?
Yeah, Hamilton's not happy, is he? Sorry, I muted you.
Lewis, this seems like a you problem.
Yeah, it's not going well, is it? He's struggling a lot more and a lot more traction to get it through. I told you you should have left that plane in the house.
You told me to take it with me.
Did he come back to get the plane?
Yes.
Here we go again then. Russell 1.5 the difference to Norris at the moment. Now we're watching Colapinto versus Sainz. And Lewis Hamilton has said, F this S, man.
We know who's going to not be very happy about that.
Look at the rain, look at the rain, look at the rain. It's really raining now in the third sector end. It's absolutely pouring down. So they wanted to get to the slick to medium, where the inside of the tyre becomes a slick, the outside stays intermediate, but it might have to go full wet. It's getting very wet in sector 3.
Or at the very least, new inters. So here, just to demonstrate, it's not going to show up very well on camera. Unless
It does, we can see it.
Yeah, but essentially that sort of got grooves on the outside, but it's smooth on the inside, which is a new tyre like I did with. I've also got the old style tyre here that does have the sort of this F40 that does have the sort of 3 grooves in the middle, which I don't know if it will show up particularly well on camera because I think it's a bit out of focus.
Just about, but, yeah, we see it, we got it at the end. It did focus in time.
Right. That's a good sort of visual example of obviously those tyres are moulded a different way and also slightly different diameter as we go.
Oh,
69 lap race, and Sainz all really struggling through. That's Leclerc, sorry, really struggling through John Chow, and now Verstappen's got to run on him.
Verstappen's got to run on Leclerc as they come through. I don't know why the race has now been reduced to 69 laps. We'll double check in a second as Max Verstappen tries to go on the inside line to get ahead. He's split to the outside line to the centre rest. Oh, Carlos Sainz. Sainz going to force him wide. Verstappen's going to be very brave. Oh, yeah, you're right. So it's Leclerc and Verstappen. So I thought it was a 55, not a 16. My apologies there to come into it. I was trying to work out why it was a 69 lap race now. Why is that? We did one formation lap to the grid. That took one race. And then we did an extra formation lap, and then we did another formation lap. So they should have taken 2 off, not 1. So they've had to reduce the race by a lap because we did 2 extra formation laps, not 1. So the cars aren't fueled.
It could also be Verstappen up the inside into Mogilio, sorry, and no, it is Ferradura, sorry. Not able to get through, but yeah, to me, I think the 69 lap thing could also be just to make sure the race doesn't go beyond 2 hours.
He was squeezing me onto the white line, not leaving a car switch.
You're one to talk, Max. You are one to
exactly.
talk.
He's just learning from watching.
And Max is struggling out there as well. It has now been confirmed that it's a 69 lap race. Race control announced it has been reduced 69 laps because they did an extra formation lap. So we did 1 formation lap to the grid, then the start got aborted, then Norris and the entire field did another lap to the grid, and then they did another formation lap. So they only took 1 off of the 2 extra they did. They should have taken another off. So instead, it's now a 69 lap race. I've never seen Formula 1 dock amount of race laps before. We've seen it go to time. I've never seen them dock a lap mid-race before. So that's changed the strategy. It's now 69 laps.
They just keep changing.
I know how old I am, but I've got to say it. Nice.
I'm sure that was the only reason they went to 69 laps and not just because of the bizarre situation. But, yeah, Verstappen starting to get a bit frustrated here as he's actually found someone that doesn't want to just let him through, and this is Sainz, I think, about to make his move on Colapinto. No, just going completely off at turn 4.
Even Haas have tweeted nice.
Really?
Yeah. Anything can happen in Brazil. It's now a 69 lap race.
You see that rejoin from Sainz
Very
over
unsafe.
Hamilton? He nearly squeezed Lewis off there.
Now that's a penalties worth decision, as we now see, well, this is Tsunoda and Ocon battling over 3rd position. Things you didn't expect to say in 2024.
Safety car windows open.
Right. And the rain's getting heavier. It's blowing in here to Sao Paulo. Could have chosen my words better with a 69 lap race. Still, Russell leads to a second. Over now with Tsunoda 10 seconds back. Look how hard it is though, Ed. Raining down it. I'm going to give up with this. Everything's going to be taken that way. It's raining really hard now, Ed, down in the final sector.
There it is.
There's spray everywhere, yes. It's so wet. But anyway, Oscar Piastri, we're looking on board. He's getting a little bit closer to Liam Lawson, but they're starting to lose touch with Max Verstappen. And crucially, there's now a nearly 11-second gap between Norris and Tsunoda here. So that really works well for McLaren. If they want to, if it opens up enough, they could maybe pit early and take a risk either on another set of inters or going to the wet if the rain intent. The problem is if it's only the last sector, and the last sector is mainly a straight, they may as well sort of risk it at this phase until it gets undrivable.
Turn 4 is slippery.
Oh, okay. So it's now turn 4 as well, Ed. So it's now increasing.
Yeah.
And it's visibly increasing.
Problem.
I can see that.
Don't want to have to make an extra pit stop though, do you?
I can see the rain. The rain's at the top here. What was
it's halfway through that corner.
Yeah, what's this turn 10? This is through Magullo. But what was that other one there? Bico to Pato. Thank you. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Turn 9.
And the duck pit, yeah. And now it's raining through Junção up through some of the boxes. So the Brazilian Grand Prix is now becoming. Look how hard it's raining. It's really raining now. And they're on slicks. Effectively, after 25 laps,
it's just really increased.
It's just opened up. Now I told you this Brazilian Grand Prix would get interesting after the opening stint.
And Leclerc's pit.
Yeah, Leclerc's into the pit lane. Get ready, Omi. You're coming in for a new set of tyres. We'll throw it out to you.
Early.
That's very early. What's his tyre gamble going to be? If we go down to the pits, I'll throw down to Omi. Omi!
Yep, absolutely. New set of inters go on for Leclerc. Back out then. Into the fast lane as he is the first one to go into the pit lane with the rain coming down.
It might even have to be full wet weather unless we have a red flag now. Is Lando Norris, who's now half a second away to George Russell, going to start having an overtake here as well? Let's hear from Lando Radio.
Fox to overtake at some point now.
We can consider it. We'll think about it.
Do it quickly.
Yeah,
It's not what you want to hear.
Yeah, well, you're halfway towards the pit lane. Would you do it? Yes, you would.
I don't know. Why am I standing up?
Because this is going to get dramatic and you're going to be jumping up, and I don't want you to knock the table.
I don't want to jump up.
It's going up because someone's going to bin it. Are they going to box Ed? What do you reckon?
No.
No, I think you're
He's
right.
pitting into traffic there, Max. That's what.
So that's what Leclerc's done. He's boxed back. Let's hear from Lando.
Switch from wet to into.
I think box.
For what reason? Don't do it as a box to overtake. Too much traffic.
No, it's just starting to rain a lot. If you don't want me to box, I'll stay out.
We think this tyre's going to be okay for a bit. We prefer to stay out.
Russell snapped coming out of turn 2. He's had a big slide.
Lando, for the love of everything, box. Don't listen to them.
Well, do you remember Russia 21? Just saying.
That was Lando's decision that time.
And now the
That's
team
problem
has swapped
that
in, yeah.
Make it in Russia 21. They left Norris out. Norris is like, well, I'll just keep track position and hope the rain goes away.
Yellow!
And it got heavier. Whoa!
Who's that?
And is that Lawson?
Yes!
That's
Yeah.
I think it's Lawson.
Lawson spun it into the centre S. He's kept going, though. And we've had a confirmation. And into the... Hang on, is Pepper going in? No, Hulkenberg boxes.
No.
Yeah, Omi stand by. Norris on the back. The stewards have confirmed, by the way, that he is due to the additional formation lap. So that's why it's now a 69-lap race. We've got... Into the pit lane comes the Haas. Omi, what tyres has he put on? Have we been told yet?
Just going to... Yep, absolutely. Does appear to be the case as he's going to head back out onto the circuit. Gasly also getting past there, Oscar Piastri.
Norris is coming through, and I'm hearing red flag. Don't know why, but Crofty was on about it. I'm not seeing any red flags on our timing screens. Norris is getting close. It's really hard now for the rain coming through, and they're on tyres that can't handle it. Colapinto's been reviewed for no further action for gaining an advantage. Now, the Brazilian Grand Prix is changing dramatically here in Sao Paulo.
I think the slick intermediates will be roughly okay, as long as the spray doesn't get aquaplaning, and also as long as they can keep heat in them, which is not necessarily guaranteed
look at
in this
that!
condition.
Look how hard it's raining now! It's really come down in towards the Cena de Laga, Ed. Can you see the level of rain on your picture? It's really hard now. Really hard.
Yeah, it's crazy picked up all over the show, so they're all just tiptoeing down there.
And Piastri and Lawson noted for causing a collision, and it's raining in Ferradura. Norris is going to go for the lead on Russell. Russell is meeting these conditions first. Are we going to see Norris try and take it, or box to overtake? It's like 2001 and 2003.
The tyre tracks of George Russell.
Pitted for a new tyre. He went into traffic and cannot clear it.
Yeah, he's stuck behind.
But it's wet weather. Can the tyres last? That's the question. Colapinto's in 2. We'll see what Omi says about what tyre he goes on to. Yellow flag, sector 1. Who's off? I don't know. Can't tell. It's
Bottas.
It's Hulkenberg.
Oh, it's Hulkenberg.
Hulkenberg's off at turn 1. Now, has he put in the barrier?
Stopped.
Yes, he has. He's hit the barrier. And that's going to be a safety car. And that's crucial timing. They're going to have to box now. Box now. Box now.
Come on, Lando. You're coming up to the
Not
line
a safety
soon.
car.
Wait, it should be. We've got Hulkenberg
Track clear.
stop. What? No.
That's what it says here.
But we're
Track clear.
But we're still going to get a flag. Yellow flag's still there. They've gone through. Now they will get a free one if they don't put the safety car out now. It's raining really hard. Russell can't stop. Norris can't stop. They're just getting into the apex. And Hulkenberg is just down at turn 1. Where's the safety car?
Virtual safety car.
VSC deployed, and that neutralises the field. Hulkenberg has stopped. I can't tell if he's hit the barrier. I've got his onboard camera on up here in the commentary box. I can't tell. Rear suspension, no. And into the pit lane comes Piastri. Into the pit lane comes Alonso. This could be crucial for them too. Down to you, Omi.
Yeah, absolutely. They're both into the pit lane. Also, Ocon got ahead of Tsunoda right before the virtual safety car as well. So that's a crucial change for P3. On go the intermediate compound for Oscar Piastri. Back into the fast lane now for him. Aston Martin also diving in into the pit lane. And they are also going to put on a set of that intermediate compound.
So everybody diving in. Hulkenberg is still stationary.
Wow.
There's Charles Leclerc. And now look, Leclerc could clear the traffic. Behrman served his time penalty, but can you do that under the virtual safety car? I'm not so sure you can.
So, let me get this
Full
straight.
wets for Perez. That's a gamble. Full wets for Perez.
So let me get this straight. McLaren allow Piastri to pit, but they don't allow Norris.
This is insane. Is Norris, is Russell coming in? I can't tell you. Where are they? Coming through turn Magullo. Ed.
Well, it wasn't the VSC when Norris and Russell were coming to the pit entry yet, and also from the exterior, it's really difficult to. In fact, Hulkenberg looks like that is Hulkenberg getting going again. So he didn't actually hit the wall particularly hard, if at all. I think he was sort of beached, wasn't he? Because the front right was in the air. So I think he went straight on at turn 1. And the VSC still going. In come Russell and Norris.
Box, and the virtual safety car is ending as Russell and Norris come into the pit lane, and it is hammering it down now. It's almost a red flag level as the track goes green again, and into the pit lane come the 2 leaders. Esteban Ocon is 14 seconds behind. If he stays out, he'll take the lead of the Grand Prix. If we have to go to a safety car, red flag. Russell gets out ahead of Norris. Norris tried, he couldn't make it. There's a wash in the pit lane. Esteban Ocon leads the Brazilian Grand Prix as the rain starts to come down harder. If we go to a red flag, he might win this Grand Prix.
That's not how I thought this day was going to go. Under investigation.
His second Grand Prix victory is on the line here, and Max Verstappen, crucially, is in second place as the rain is not coming down by the bucketful. It's not even coming down by the oceanful. It's full on Noah's Ark, and we're going to have to throw the safety car. It is so bad now for conditions. They are undrivable. The teams are saying it's undrivable. They can't see a thing. Safety car's going to have to come out, maybe even red flag. It is so bad. Everybody's saying they can't see anything. Everybody.
Yeah, they're just showing a replay. Is that Piastri? Oh, tagging around.
And he's got a 10-second time penalty out for doing so. And there's Hulkenberg spinning off again. That's the replay.
Sonoda also went on the wet tyres. I didn't notice that. So not only Perez, but Sonoda taking the gamble too. So look out for Yuki Tsunoda's lap times here behind Lando Norris.
So, wet tyres for Sonoda, Lawson, Perez. Hulkenberg's come back into the pit lane. Oscar Piastri confirmed that 10-second time penalty. The rain is coming down really hard now. It's especially hard in sectors 2 and 3, and it is like a lake out here. I am surprised we've not put the red flag out. This is like we're racing in 1991 in Australia. Look, this is Ocon. He's aquaplaning on the straight, for God's sake.
I feel like there should be a rubber duck flashing down this.
They're going to aquaplane off here big time. It's like 1993 when the rain came down and Alain Prost spun out the race. Look how hard it's raining on the start-finish straight. It is 1991.
Ocon's calling for a red.
Ocon is calling for a red flag, and now he is the race director.
No there, is there?
Leader.
Well, he's the leader, and he can inform the race director that it should be. If he puts his hand up, look at that. There's a spinner somewhere. Look at the wash. Look at the wash. It should be a red flag. It needs to be a red flag. It has to be a red flag. Look how hard it's raining out there.
I think that's just lines in the road. That doesn't look like time marks.
No, it is time marks. Look at and Norris goes through a Russell. Norris passes Russell. Norris goes up to 4th. Ocon, Verstappen, Gasly. This is red flag level. I don't know why it's not red flag level. Look how hard it's raining. The drivers are flying off the road. They're on intermediate tyres in what is clearly full wet weather conditions.
This is torrential. Lawson, lap time deleted.
Safety car. Safety car's out. Safety car. Well, that had to happen, I'm afraid.
Should be a red.
I think this is safety car to bunch them up, then go red flag. It's just like 1993.
This is too dangerous to drive in.
Someone will get killed if they're not careful. Someone really would. That is torrential for intermediates that they're on.
Joe's just said, no, not Joe. Sonoda's just said that it's too dangerous.
The drivers are now complaining on the radio, saying it should be red flag. Yeah, everyone is saying that it should be red flag. Esteban Ocon is called for a red flag.
It feels to me like both Alpine and Red Bull have gambled here by saying, let's not pit and beg for a red flag to bail us out because we've got no grip left.
Smart choice if it is. Safety car's out. Now, Ocon could have boxed there, but he would have lost the lead. Alpine are going for a race win. The team that was the slowest at the start of the year could end up winning as we click over to lap 31 of 69, 39 to go. No sign at the moment of the red flags, but surely they must do so.
It's a lighter rain in 3 minutes. Could be the rain eases off enough, but we've still got all that standing water, so it's a tricky call for race direction here.
What do we do? What do we do? Megan, you go and
we don't have to do anything. We're just commentating.
Well, Megan's going to watch the smash cake.
What about you?
Film. Oh, that was. That's Lawson here. Hamilton. Yeah.
Turning on Lawson.
Megs, you go and watch the smash cake. Record it for me. So let's just see if they do. If they stop the race, come back. So Megan retires as the safety car picks up Ocon. Here's Ocon's radio.
So Esteban, rain decreasing in 1 to 2 minutes.
Did it get to a stage a red flag was possible?
Ocon just internally swearing in his helmet.
But even if we...
Rain increasing, damn it.
But it's now wet weather all round. Surely it's now... Is it too much even to let them go racing again? Because the amount of standing water that's around now, there is wash on the circuit as well.
They've also got at least two lapped cars in Joe and Hulkenberg.
Yeah.
Colapinto's pit under the safety car, interestingly, to go to wets.
He did now, actually, yeah, to do so. So are we going to go to a red flag? Now, the crucial thing to have the safety car in here, Bert Mylander is going to
get a red flag.
Oh, it's Interzed.
Oh, it is Inter, so he thinks it's going to get better by the time the race gets going again.
Yeah.
Or he maybe had a puncture or something. Because I think he did pit for...
He did pit. Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah.
VSC.
Yes, he did 4 laps ago. So that's a brand new set of tyres gone into. Yeah, brand new set of Inters. That is very odd.
Hasn't lost too much ground though, because he was like 13th or 14th, wasn't he? Now 16th. Yeah. So it's not with the safety car. That was the good time to pit. So.
Brand new surface here at Interlagos. That's causing sliding grip conditions as well. I'd be very surprised if we don't get a red flag here in Sao Paulo. Because
they've also got to let the lapped car of Joe and Hulkenberg through, don't they?
Yeah. Hulkenberg's noted for continuing on track after receiving assistance. But I thought that rule got abandoned years ago for the outside assistance. I thought you could. He's in a dangerous position.
Did he get... Well, yeah, he was in a position because of VSC, wasn't he?
Yeah, so that should be fine.
So when he had the wheel up, I wondered, did a marshal push him to safety, or was there some other form of assistance there? Maybe the rain helped, and they're penalising the rain for making him wash down the slope.
In my opinion, he was in a dangerous place, so should be allowed to continue. But either way...
I hope it's not that old... Remember the old rule where you weren't allowed to get help from the pit lane if... like, say there was a specific engine mode or your car was stuck or something. And Hulkenberg goes into the pits, funnily enough.
So let's see what he does. He's at 6.1. He's put on a new set of wet compound, I believe. Although he's just been in for a new set of wet. So maybe he's scrubbing one set and putting another set on. Safety car's out then. And I believe they're waiting for the entire field to box up. And then they're going to red flag. So I think that's what we're waiting for right now, is feedback from...
They would have done it by now, I think, if that was the case. I think they're banking on the rain stopping. Oh! A Colapinto in the wall.
There you go, then. That's the confirmation that we didn't need, Ed. Red flag's going to have to come out now. Franco Colapinto, under the safety car, has smashed into the wall, coming up Subaru boxes on the pit lane entry, just like Mark Webber did in 2003.
Why are they struggling so much on new set of tyres?
Red flags, Ed.
But there we go.
Yeah.
It's not Inter territory, is it?
Yeah, well, either way, the race is going to be stopped now for a little bit. Red flag's out here in Sao Paulo again. As soon as Colapinto went in the wall, he's okay, but a busy weekend and a lot of money lost for Williams. As soon as that happened, it was a red flag. Even with full wet tyres, I think it's too treacherous, and Williams know they had so much, and now they've lost it at all so much this weekend. Race stopped.
All the Franco Colapinto fans looking a bit dejected.
Yeah, what do we do now?
And so should they. Who do we support now? Oh, I guess Hamilton, I guess.
But, and he's leaking.
Yeah, that's exactly where Massa crashed, wasn't it,
yes.
in 2016?
Yeah. And Paul di Resta in 2012. It's a treacherous part of the circuit. Ed, he's leaking oil and fuel down the circuit there. And he's crashed hard up the pit. Look, he's gone so far from where he's originally gone off.
So, it feels a lot like a potential. The reason they've red flags, they don't want a Fernando Alonso, Mark Webber situation here, do they?
Yeah, which was at the same part of the circuit. So, Megan saw. So, Colapinto on the wall and red flags.
Yep.
Has she smashed it?
Yeah, she'd already smashed it by the time I got into the room, but now she's just eating it, so got that. Elliot solved a Rubik's Cube twice.
Good kid. So...
He said, the second time was a bit tougher.
Let's take a look at how Franco...
He's a genius.
Let's take a look at how Franco Colapinto hit the wall then.
This is under safety car conditions as well. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, aquaplane's big hit there.
That was bad. I'm glad
Once
to
it
see
started to go, there was nothing he could have done there.
Yeah. Total passenger on intermediates as well, wasn't it? Oh, he nearly got the marshals, my goodness.
It does make me wonder why he pit for those Inters, because we saw Hulkenberg immediately go off at turn 1 after going to Inters.
Yeah, why?
So it's something about the new Inters. Maybe they're not up to temperature properly or something. Or maybe it was just full wet conditions, especially when Colapinto went for it, especially at that part of the circuit as well.
Megan.
And, yeah, Williams took the gamble and it's backfired horribly.
Water and fuel, different densities. Water will go underneath the fuel. Fuel will go on the top. The first thing the drivers come into contact with is the fuel.
It's run all along the circuit as well, by the way. It's run all the way down.
Yeah, this may
Let's hear
stop.
from Lando.
I guess everyone can just change tyres for free now.
They can.
No.
And I've got to say...
Yeah, but that's great for Ocon, Verstappen and Gasly, who hadn't done so. And as Ed said, they played the gamble of the safety car and a red flag. Ocon now could win this race if we can't restart.
I don't think it was a bad call for Norris and Russell to pit under the safety car because they could easily have crashed out on those old Inters and be out of the race. So it was sort of just pure luck for Ocon, Verstappen, Gasly. Because I think if the safety car hadn't happened, they might have carried on until the race had restarted. And so it's almost a blessing for the race as a whole that Colapinto had that happen to him, because it meant we're not going to go up to green flag and have a massive pile-up with everyone going off at turn 1 effectively.
If you want to pop in there and see who I can take over.
Oh, all right, I'll go in for a few minutes.
Okay. Right.
I think the reason David Croft kept saying the red flag was out of habit, because he's had to do it so often this weekend.
I mean, today, just from today, this is the 6th red flag we have had. It's like in a day. And honestly, it's... What's that mean? Yawnings may be used. It's spelled A-W-N-I-N-G-S. I'm going to look that up because I have no idea what that means. Hold on.
Warning. It's like when you go to the garden centre.
A sheet of canvas or other material stretched on top of a frame and used to keep the sun or rain off shop window or doorway. Why do we need to know this? Turn 1 incident involving cars 44 Hamilton and Ed 30 Lawson noted, causing a collision.
Jess has also been sending in some comments during this. She says, of the beginning, lack of experience for Lando, slam dunk penalty for Norris, Norris the bottle, Norris under investigation. So none of the Red Bull bias at all creeping into Jess. His commentary here.
Slight bit.
Again, another race where Norris didn't lead the first lap. And then of the red flag, she says, they had to. Race directors of rubbish. Finally about time. And that's of the safety car and then the red flag, I think.
Oh, is this a replay of a Hamilton-Lawson thing? Right,
No,
so...
this is Lawson being spun around by Piastri.
Oh, this is Piastri. So Piastri was the first one to harm Lawson today. Lawson's also... seems to be the target of many people. That seems like Piastri may have
The
slid.
10-second penalty was deserved. Did Piastri actually serve it when he did his tyre change under the VSC?
I think he
I'm not sure if
must
he
have.
did. Look at this. It was way too optimistic from Oscar there.
Yeah, he might... I'm not sure that would have been avoidable, to be honest.
Not at the point he'd started braking, though.
Yeah. Could have braked a little bit earlier, but we don't know whether...
Lawson a little similar, but he was a little more alongside Lewis, who was clearly struggling.
Yeah. So that was
also
only a
much
light
lower speed.
Car 44. Ooh. Apparently, there's this much water on the track, according to Max Verstappen right now. Just
That's
heard
Max
him through
talking
ears.
to Helmut Marko and his dad, Jos.
Yeah.
So, it looked like Max was about to go around the back and go to sleep for about the next 20 minutes while he waits for the rain to ease up.
I don't blame him. Right.
Alpine are basically just hoping the race doesn't get restarted.
Yeah.
That would only be half points, wouldn't it? Because they only got to lap 33, about half, just under half distance.
Yeah, because 37 left. They really would have really wished to at least get to like lap 36 at least. Or 35.
I was sort of... Yeah, I almost feel like if Colapinto hadn't crashed, like I said, they probably wouldn't have gone for the red flag.
Yeah.
Because all the signs were like, oh, rain's easing off in a few minutes, but of course that's forgetting about all the standing water at the final corner.
Yeah, that water is a menace. to side. I'm just going to check Twitter and see what the teams are saying about things, because, well, the teams are hilarious when it comes to wet weather, especially Haas. Right. Not really much. They're not really saying much right now about it, to be honest. Still early, I guess. What? Why?
It's just breathing.
No one. We're just checking.
Let's have a look at George
Twitter.
Russell, by the way. This is him on the red flag. He's on the radio.
So red flag, a red flag.
I said it! Should have stayed out.
Oh.
Into the pit lane, follow the safety car.
Yeah, and
Russell knows he's throwing away a possible safety car.
Yeah, and honestly, if he said it should have been red flag before, then Ray really should have listened to him, given he's the head of that Drivers Association.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a choice right now. Hand over to Sky F1 or let Omi and Ed talk for a little bit, and they can text me when they want to shut up and put Sky on. What's the betting? Who wants to do some talking? Who wants some Sky? General vote. Omi? Ed, what do you fancy?
I'm up for whatever.
Omi?
Whatever.
Oh,
Helpful.
Really helpful, guys, because me and Megan are leaving the commentary box. So, kind of up to you, because we're going to pop in and have birthday for Zara. A little for,
All right,
for,
well,
for
we
Tim.
might as well watch for a bit. I haven't got too much extra to add, really.
All right, I'll tell you what, Omi, if you want to pop your camera on, I'll put you and Ed on the commentary cam while me and Megan go into the inside of the comms box.
Okay.
So I think that becomes fairer, doesn't it? Fedadora. We adore her.
Your Brazilian Portuguese leaves much to be desired, Josh.
Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, what's the matter, you?
Alley.
Alley, 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 alley. I thought it was quite funny, to be fair. Between the two. So, red flags out. We are in this delay period as things stand. And no sign of the rain coming in anytime soon, or race resumption time. Me and Megan will be back when the race is announced to be resumed.
Just at us when
Yeah.
you see anything.
And in the meantime, we are going to hand over to Omi and Ed, who are going to take you through the red flag period. Over to you two boys.
Very much. As we look down at Oscar Piastri, and now in the grandstands, the fans still enjoying themselves out there. Unfortunately, no collar painted. Well, at least they have Hamilton, but he's not really having the best of races either, is he?
He's been struggling all day, really, Franco, hasn't he? Didn't do particularly well in qualifying, and then he's just looked a little bit struggling with these sorts of conditions. And of course, if you've never really driven around Interlagos in the wet before, it can be a big disadvantage. And even Hulkenberg, as we see, getting a black flag, Hulkenberg, for causing the VSC getting assistance and then being pushed back into the race. So this is the old Lewis Hamilton Nürburgring 2007 rule, isn't it? Where he had a JCB lift him out of the gravel and he continued in the race. And they changed the rules to prevent outside assistance from allowing traffic. So Hulkenberg was beached at the very end of the runoff in turn one. Had the front wheel up in the air, and clearly a marshal or somebody assisted him, pushed him back onto the track and allowed him to continue, which sort of was really awkward because they just thrown a virtual safety car for that as well. So yeah, Hulkenberg, within the rules, being disqualified there, although he was running last anyway, so it's pretty immaterial at this point.
Yep, absolutely, as well. So that is absolutely the case. If we take a look at the Constructors' Championship, how would that work out? Oh, you would definitely lose quite a bit as well. Science right now running in 13th. That's where he'll restart. Leclerc in 7th. Leclerc was the first one to, of course, make the pit stop when the rain started hitting. And this is Hulkenberg, of course, as you mentioned, sliding off down at the center S. And then Yeah.
So unlucky. So he breaks a bit on the white line, the paint, which is clearly where there's no grip in the wet. Spins around, avoids the wall, but then gets sort of the front end of the car trapped on the drain gully, and there are the 4 marshals pushing him back onto track, which they're applauding, but they really shouldn't have done that, and it's Hulkenberg that's the loser. In that situation, there was no option really but to do the official procedure, which is retire the car. So you can't blame them for Hulkenberg, and the marshals were trying to get him back in the race, but they're clearing away in the garage because they know black flag means they've got to bring him in. So they've got to take all the milk off of the floor. They put all their deck chairs out, the house mechanics, so they can watch and celebrate the race or mourn the race as it goes wrong. It seems to be currently happening. But yeah, so all their hopes now are going to rest with Ollie Behrman, who is just outside the top 10, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And Behrman was brilliant in the dry, but of course in the wet conditions. Lot goes into the Pirelli rubber. Hamilton, Lawson, turn 1 collision, no further investigation. For that, decide the stewards as well. So the order right now at the front, Ocon, Verstappen, Gasly, they're all going to benefit. So it's not going to be this story that we were going to get if we didn't get the red flag, which would have been Norris and Russell attacking with new tyres, Ocon, Verstappen, Gasly trying to defend while battling themselves. So slightly adjusted now, and Verstappen finds himself possibly going from 17th to the victory. He's got Ocon ahead, and I think it's going to be hard for Ocon to put up a bit of a fight. Of course, when they were in that train with Leclerc, Ocon, Tsunoda, it was hard to overtake, but now 1 car ahead, but Lando Norris is going to be disappointed. So what would his approach now be at this stage?
Well, he didn't sound quite as disappointed as Russell. It was interesting because right before the safety car was called, you saw Russell backed off completely into turn 4, and Norris risked it down the inside to get through. So that was a crucial move that got him into 4th, wasn't it? So he is right behind Gasly, who's right behind Verstappen. So if he can clear Pierre Gasly quickly, then we could be in for a Verstappen-Norris showdown, which, as you say, was not what we were really expecting. But Verstappen was in a position with that penalty where he kind of had to take a risk to get back to the front, essentially. So that was why him and the Alpine stayed out. It wasn't guaranteed, of course, because if you bank on it raining, then that tends to be when the rain doesn't arrive, or it comes at the wrong moment, maybe too late in the race potentially. But yeah, of course. So I don't think Mercedes and McLaren were necessarily wrong to pit under the safety car like they did, because like conditions getting worse and there's no guarantee that they get. If you get to the point where everyone in the race strategy sees, oh, it's raining, let's stay out, that just becomes dangerous. So I actually think Mercedes and McLaren did the right thing, and Alpine and Red Bull just got incredibly lucky that not only did they not crash, but the red flag got called for somebody else crashing out effectively, which, like I said, if Colapinto hadn't gone off, probably wouldn't have happened. And
yeah,
14:02 local time, so is that in about 10 minutes or so we're getting a restart?
Should be in about 10 minutes time. We'll be getting the restart, so I'll let you alert Josh and Megan about that one as well. While the drivers now get back into preparation mode for the restart that is going to be coming their way in just under 10 minutes now. We've got the restart order confirmed for us as well. So we're going to have Ocon, then Verstappen, then Gasly, then Norris, Russell, and then it's going to be Yuki Tsunoda, Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Fernando Alonso, and then we are going to have Liam Lawson. Lewis Hamilton is going to be directly behind Bottas, Carlos Sainz, and then Sergio Perez, and then Ollie Behrman, and Joe will be at the back as usual. And then we'll of course get back going and hopefully continue going. But of course Hulkenberg's car is rolled in, having got the black flag. So we're going to of course have now 8 minutes till we get, of course, the 1 formation lap, which they go around, maybe more if the FIA feel like it, and then the race will get underway, and hopefully it is going to be an exciting one in terms of overtaking and action on the circuit.
I certainly think there's a lot of comments about, especially after qualifying, of, oh, the FIA and the stewards are biased against Max Verstappen. I think we certainly can put that to bed now. I think they're biased in favour of how dangerous the track is, effectively. So I think as we see Verstappen running to his car, so clearly he got the call, or he'd taken a bit of a nap and now has had to get his kit on quite quickly and run back to the front of the grid in the pit lane.
Yeah, absolutely. work still going on, of course, but they do have 10 minutes, so it's better to
Look,
just
the
get
cement mix going on track as well. That's quite a desperate decision to try and get rid of the oil from the radiator on Colapinto's car.
Yeah, so that is what they're attempting to do, and they're going to still have a little bit of time to do it, but now the drivers are preparing. Now they're getting back into race mood, and well, Esteban Ocon's found himself in this position he found himself back in this position in 2021, of course, in Jeddah, when all of the deal no deal things happened. Right now, though, he finds himself P1 just due to how everything has worked out, and he'll be leading the field away with Verstappen behind. Lawson getting into his car. He had contact, of course, with Piastri, desperate move from Piastri. He was also involved with a bit of a close moment with Lewis Hamilton. So, yeah, Lawson, as soon as he's come in F1 this season, he's been in all sorts of incidents and rivalries with all sorts of different drivers. So really interesting to see Liam Lawson going out there and immediately fighting.
Yeah, he's certainly, and we saw this in many other series like DTM, like Super Formula, that Liam Lawson is not afraid to get his elbows out if absolutely necessary, and he doesn't care about who's fighting. He just wants to do a good job and have some fun. But yeah, getting a bit physical though. So while Sonoda has been the one that's been qualified up front and has been having a better race so far, Lawson has actually done a really good defensive job as well. We got an interesting comment from Dionat Kurukuru, who says, upright fossil Norris did a second formation lap after the race aborted. Let's hope he doesn't do a second one now coming out of the red flag as well, because he certainly doesn't want to have two post-race investigations hanging over him.
Yeah, and this time he's not going to be the leader for it, so there would definitely not be any explanation for that if that was to be the case. George Russell, though, frustrated, of course, with what's happened, as you mentioned, maybe even more than Lando Norris. Had he stayed out there, well, he could have ended up in the barrier, but of course, there's always that chance he could have kept it on the road and in the lead of this Grand Prix, but instead he now finds himself behind Norris, having lost that position on the circuit, and they're both going to have to go attacking now, which is going to be hard with the pace that Max Verstappen shown when he was overtaking people. Of course, got stuck behind Leclerc in that train, but he only has Ocon ahead, so if he can clear Ocon, then he has every chance in this Grand Prix. As we take a look at the spray there was in the lake that was basically forming.
This is reminding me a little bit of a sort of reversal almost of a Hungary 2011, isn't it? Where everyone got taken out of the first corner and Ocon was sort of leader of those that pit for dry tyres come the restart. That was how he won that particular race, with Alonso defending from the faster drivers for him effectively, like Lewis Hamilton. And he still beat Vettel in a straight fight in the Aston that day. But yeah, so Alpine have rolled the dice. They could still get a lot of points out of this one, enough to maybe get ahead of Williams in the Constructors' Championship. But certainly, I think if Verstappen and Norris can get involved once the race gets restarted, I'm not necessarily sure that Ocon can walk on water and run away with this one. But hey, last time Ocon and Verstappen came together in Interlagos in 2019, was it 2018? Sorry, where Ocon tried to unlap himself into turn one and basically spun Verstappen around, handed the win to Lewis Hamilton. It would take Ocon to do it to quite a lot of drivers for Hamilton to win this one tonight, but especially with his car handling as badly as it is.
Yeah, this time though, Ocon doesn't have to get out of the way. He's got every right to fight for the position, and if, well, Verstappen does end up, if Ocon catches Verstappen out and Gasly's able to go on the attack, then that could be good for Alpine if they are able to get a 1-2, because remember, as we mentioned, Verstappen did get stuck. He had more pace than Leclerc and the cars ahead, but he just got stuck. He couldn't overtake for laps and laps and needed a mistake. So if Alpine can get a 1-2, there is that slight chance that they can keep a 1-2 for a while, and you don't know when this race could come to a close. If it does randomly start hammering it down, then that could be the red flag, that could be it. So who knows? But we're 3 minutes away from going back out on the circuit, so everyone in their cars as they prepare now to go racing around Sao Paulo once again in these very wet conditions.
I think earlier when we were talking, I mean, I could swear I heard Josh's niece in the background playing around and celebrating. So it seems somebody's having fun in the rain, at least. But yeah, confirmation there, crucially, that Norris did make the move on Russell, as expected, before the safety car came into effect then. So he does get to keep that 4th place. Gasly in an interesting position here, of course. He didn't put up too much of a fight, did he, when Verstappen came up to overtake him? Is he going to do so for Norris? Is Gasly going to be trying to audition himself to get back in the Red Bull family, potentially, even though he, of course, didn't leave on the best terms, and he's sort of the long-term Alpine driver for the future, isn't he? As you see, confirmation of the restart order, with Verstappen also holding the fastest lap at the moment. But if conditions improve by the time of the restart, we could see that fastest lap change. And it sounds like Mrs. Josh Birch has rejoined us.
I have. Megan's inside still, just making sure everything's okay. With Zara and the party. I have returned because
I did hear a small child celebrating and bubbling happily. Was that Zara?
Really? Could you hear?
Yeah, just very, very slightly in the background.
Really? Was it that loud?
It was like somebody had wandered in to the hut, opened the door, laughed, and then left.
That definitely.
Or it might just be someone left the door open and we heard it from the house.
I think you could have heard it from the house. We didn't realise I left the mics on, but yes.
It was very muffled.
Let's hear Fernando.
Rolling start, it's just corrected itself.
At the restart time, there's possibly a class 1 to 2 rain for 10 minutes and then nothing after that.
So a light drizzle.
Okay, that was Elliot. We were having bubble party, which is you blow bubbles and you go and smash them all.
New bubbles are involved.
Yeah, didn't know you could hear us. That's new for the commentary box.
I've got very good hearing.
Super. That's fantastic. Shotgun news out on the circuit right now, but we're going to have a rolling start, so we won't have a 5-light procedure. Thank you, Omi and Ed, by the way, for filling in while me and Megan went in. It gave us 20 more minutes.
Yeah, we found something.
Race.
Nico Hulkenberg got disqualified, by the way. Getting outside assistance, pushing him. But they'd show replay of the marshals pushing him because he got stuck on the sort of drain gully. That was why he was beached. He wasn't able to reverse out, so mechanics pushed him, and he was able to get it restarted. But he probably should have retired the car.
What was that coming in? That wasn't the camera, was it? That wasn't the Combox camera.
It's Omi.
Oh, thank God for that. By the way,
I can't see the Combox cam because it's still buffering for me, so I might come back in and.
All right, go on then. I'll put yours on battle screen. I have non-alcoholic prosecco, by the way, so it's not alcoholic. It's the only one I can drink because of my surgery.
Given the colour of it, I'm not gonna drink any of it because I don't know whether it has cherries.
It doesn't. It's rosary.
Exactly. Some rosé has cherries.
Is that working for you now, Ed?
Yeah, sure thing. I think it was just buffering was playing up a little bit.
Excellent.
But it's interesting. A lot of comments from people on Twitter saying, "Oh, we certainly can't accuse the FIA of bias now against Max Verstappen, given that they did the safety car after Russell and Norris pit at the same time."
Away we go then. At 2 minutes past the hour, which is 4 minutes earlier than it was supposed to. They've restarted the race very early.
I'm glad I came in now.
Yeah, in order to get so. So, Ocon leads, Verstappen, Gasly, Norris, Russell, Tsunoda, Leclerc, Piastri, Alonso, Lawson in top 10. Hamilton, Bottas, Sainz, Perez, Behrman, Zhou, Colapinto disqualified for the first time ever in a Formula 1 race for Nico Hulkenberg. He's 18th. Albon, Stroll out as well. First time we've had a disqualification since 2008 as well in Canada. Ed, your camera's off, by the way.
All right, I forgot to turn it on.
What lap was he disqualified?
Might have been part of my problem.
23. 33.
Is it working okay?
Yeah, seems to be.
Nice.
I was just going to say, surprising lack of outcry online for Hulkenberg. I guess he wasn't having a great race anyway, but surprising lack of outcry for Hulkenberg. The anti-Hulkenberg bias from the FIA stewards, not letting him have a little push from the marshals, whereas Lewis Hamilton in 2007 was allowed to get a full recovery vehicle to lift him back on the track. Like in Mario Kart with the little cloud, it picks you back up if you fall off the edge of the track. And Lewis got that in 2007, and then they changed the rule, of course, and that was, of course, 15 years ago, or 16, 17 years ago now, wasn't it?
I was wondering why he got a penalty for it. The track is clear. Have conditions...
He didn't get a penalty, he got disqualified.
Oh, yeah.
It's an almighty penalty.
Yeah, black flag. First time we've seen a black flag in a number of years. ASF from Sainz.
Ricky, this is not new Inter. Which Inter is this? Hello?
Sainz's radio's not working. Sainz is out there on... Well, it says brand new Inters, but I don't think they are.
Maybe he doesn't feel like they're brand new. We had this with the new Inters, didn't we? Colapinto crashed on new Inters. Hulkenberg went straight on new Inters as well. So maybe weird discrepancy between what the driver's feeling and what actually the car is. It's a rolling start then, so that's probably good news for Ocon here. Less likely to get jumped.
When's he going to push a throttle? The Sao Paulo Grand Prix is going to restart. Esteban Ocon is building out with Max Verstappen. He's had this before on a red flag restart. Remember, back in, in Saudi Arabia back in 2021, yellow flags in the third sector. That's because we haven't gone green. No, it's because Behrman's off the circuit. Behrman's off at Junção, and he's trying to... There's a couple of them off. There's two off. As we go racing again here in Sao Paulo.
That's show too.
Action again in Sao Paulo. The spray still bad into turn 1. Many of the drivers on intermediates were Verstappen all over the back of Ocon. Norris now on the back of Gasly. Leclerc gets ahead of Tsunoda as the racing resumes, but still the track conditions don't look so tremendous for intermediates. Still they're going to slide around, and always where Behrman Jost sliding off, but a good restart. Ocon leads, but for how much longer? No rain at the moment, but there's still a lot of spray out there.
And you can see Norris really badly held up. He has to go off track behind. And is that going to let Russell through? Oh, just about. I think Russell's going to go around the outside of him into Ferradura here.
Russell's going to keep it around the outside, and he gets through. Russell re-inherits effectively a lead of the race.
He led him through.
Yeah, but don't forget, Ocon has changed tyres. They've all changed tyres to top 3. So Verstappen might win this from 17th on the grid. And off goes the Ferrari. Charles Leclerc runs in deep. That's going to let Piastri come back through.
Maybe we should have gone wet.
It's too tricky out there. There's still a lot of standing water still around the circuit.
Joe was the other one who went off at the start, by the way.
This is getting quite tricky now.
Well, what they're gambling on, the rain is certainly, like you say, level 1 to level 2, as Lando Norris's engineer was saying. So it's drizzle, so it's effectively going to dry out. The more these cars are going round, the more it will dry the track out. But unfortunately, that means they have to get through this early period where the track is basically a bit of an ice rink, especially since they've not been driving on it in a while, since the red flag, of course.
And a resurface as well, to keep reminding you. Here comes Hamilton and Alonso, and he's going to have Tsunoda in there for company as well. So still a wall of spray down in towards turn 1. You can't see a thing. Conditions barely improved. Hamilton has got ahead of Alonso down into turn 1 at the Senna S. So he's got that in nicely. Sainz ahead of Bottas as they'll fly through. And at least it stopped raining, Megan, but I can barely see a thing. Commentating this race like commentating on a 1960s TV picture.
It really is. You cannot see. Oh, like for example, 2 cars just came out of the mist. I could only see one at start.
And that was Tsunoda and Hamilton down into Decina de Laga. Can't see anything into Ferradura. And there's still a lot lying there. From a driver's eye point of view, it's going to be a lot easier to see. We're riding with Hamilton now. And they're still feathering the throttle, trying to find the right position in. It's a snap from Hamilton at the rear end, and it's going to be a bit tricky on the inside.
You can see the rear... isn't it, ahead? No, it's Tsunoda, sorry.
Yeah.
Ahead of Hamilton. And so he's using that to sort of figure out where the RB is ahead of him and just to not crash into the back of him. Yeah, but Lewis did a very, very good move actually on Alonso, despite the fact that he couldn't see absolutely anything on the run into turn 1. He was able to get the move done through the center S there, and now he's lining up Tsunoda. So after this red flag, Lewis seems to have got his head together, fixed whatever the issue was, and he started to really make progress here.
Red flag was the rescinding for Hamilton there. Now he's got his mojo back. He can start finding the groove. He's going to try and get ahead of Tsunoda. Running in his spray across the start-finish line, down into the center S. He can just about make out the braking lights flashing as they turn in. Megan.
Can we just appreciate for a second that with a rolling start, Ocon's managed to gain 3 seconds on Verstappen?
Keep an eye on that. That's impressive on anything from Esteban Ocon in that Alpine. Remember, the car that started the season as the slowest and has slowly gained in time. What a great day it'll be for the Alpine team and for Esteban Ocon if they can do it, especially as the Alpine as well might not be in Formula 1 with Renault as their engine supplier going from 2026 onwards when it will change to Mercedes. This might give them a bump up to maybe stay in Formula 1 if they get a race win. Oh, and off, and spin, run. And does he hit the barrier?
Yes.
He does.
Yes, he does.
Oliver Behrman spinning, and Ferradura nerves the barrier. Now, can he get it going again?
think he will be. I think it's just a damaged front wing.
He's letting it go backwards. That's the smart lad. Select first gear and away you go. Behrman keeps it in, Ed.
Yeah, the front wing survived a hefty rack as well. It'll be on the car, but if I were Behrman, I would pit for a new one because there's every chance that could fall off any moment.
Just got caught in the wash,
But
didn't
too
he?
close to the back of Sainz, didn't he?
Just spun it. Oh, and he's put him down into 16th anyway, so yeah, pit for a new one, I'd say. May as well.
Oh, he spun before on the lap before the restart, didn't he?
Yeah.
At the final corner. So yeah, it's been a bit chaotic for Behrman. I think he's just pushing way too hard.
Oh, there's so much standing water to the centre S's as well. Sonoda holding against Hamilton. Hamilton now in the toe. No DRS, remember. So this is old school racing. Hamilton in the spray. Barely see the flashing lights of Sonoda into turn 4 at Decina de Laga. Holds it in.
You're about to say into Stowe.
Yeah,
So he's gone to Silverstone. The
Yeah.
spray's so thick, he's gone all the way across the ocean back to Britain.
Hamilton's just got a natural affinity to go back home, hasn't he? He can feel it calling to him. The Hamilton straight.
He's going to Italy next season.
Yes, so Maranello, he's going to find, and Hamilton's still snapping in the car. It's still aquaplaning out there. They've got to be so careful. Little bit, at least the helicopters can still fly. A little bit of rain cover. Not seeing any new rain falling. It's just the spray at the moment, isn't it?
It is. And that is Hamilton having another little moment there behind Yuki Tsunoda, and Yuki's actually doing quite well right now.
If you're just joining us, we've had a red flag, and no, your eyes are not deceiving you. Esteban Ocon is the leader of this race. He has 3.3 seconds to Max Verstappen. Gasly is in third, so it's a double Alpine podium, and this definitely the worst part of the track is the start-finish straight, because it just, all the buildings and the concrete walls, it keeps that spray in, it keeps the water in. That's what we're seeing, just sort of spraying around everywhere.
Yeah, that's where
Yellow.
Raikkonen crashed in 2016, isn't it? He had a massive crash there where he just hit both the walls. As we see yellow flag in the final
Behrman.
sector, is that Behrman in more trouble?
I think it is, yeah. Behrman's off the track.
At least I think it is.
Green flag.
Green. Yeah, I think it's Behrman.
He lost about 5 seconds, didn't he? Because he was about 5 seconds behind Joe, and now he's 10 seconds behind.
Yeah, it was
Spin
Behrman.
of spin.
Don't know what happened. I think he's just locked up down at Junção and he's gone straight back on. A heavy replay of it. So, is he going to get on the green? What's happened? It's his first ever wet race, remember? Oh, double lock up and can't get it stopped and off the track. Similar to what
Yeah, but
happened
even
on-
Lewis was
yeah.
doing that as well.
Yeah.
So Behrman seems to have inherited whatever Hamilton was struggling with. Whereas Lewis, he's got a couple of cushions in the cockpit and his back seems to be a lot better since that red flag. So Mercedes clearly got their priorities in order during that red flag. But yeah, the pace of the Alpine in the wet relative to Verstappen, I guess Ocon's not making any mistakes right now, so there's nothing for Verstappen to really take advantage of, and Gasly starting to drop off the back of both of them. So that mistake from Norris is proving so costly, isn't it? It's sort of one bit of bad luck and one mistake has completely turned Norris from fighting for the lead to basically struggling to stay in 5th position here, because Leclerc's not far behind either.
Gap now 3.1, gap 2.9, as now we're going to see the move on the circuit finally start to come up, as this is, I can't even tell who it is in the spray. It's Sergio Perez. Sainz, yeah. So 12th and 13th, I couldn't even tell with the spray if it was Leclerc following Norris or Sainz following Perez. It was too hard. But yeah, it is indeed.
The odd graphic on screen might be appreciated here, but I guess they don't want to put the wrong graphic on for the wrong driver. Maybe just a battle graphic.
If the weather stays as it does, we think it'll be these tyres to the end. So it'll be about tyre condition and racing cars on track.
That's 30-something laps on these inters. That's a long call. They can only really do 25 laps. It's the full wets that can do the bigger distance.
Well, everyone wants to stay out the pits, don't they? So.
Yeah. Radar.
Oh! And Sainz is off!
And into the barrier! And out of the Brazilian Grand Prix goes Carlos Sainz. 2 big accidents in one day.
Safety car.
Safety car immediately deployed. Now, what was the delay in not calling that? Out!
That was called almost immediately, Joe.
Yeah, but why did the other one take so long? Broken front suspension, broken front wing, and he's lost the engine. So just as we said, it was calming down. Carlos Sainz slips off the track at Ferradura, just like Oliver Behrman, and he's into the wall. And Sainz is out. The winner from a week ago in Mexico has put it into the wall.
Well, that's Ferrari's constructors' chances taking a big dent there. Yeah. And as 3 Williams drivers at the race then, Sainz, Colapinto, Albon.
They're all dropping off the road. Maybe Sainz is right to go there. Safety car again then. Here we go. Really bad news for Esteban Ocon, who had an advantage to Verstappen. And he's got going. Sainz has got
surprising.
going. Yeah, I thought he was out of the race. But
See the digger and then thought, I can get out of this. No, not the digger.
But outside help.
Oh, hello. Hang on, is it actually at Ferradura he's gone off, or is it down at, is it the next corner? It's at the next corner.
Next corner.
Yeah. The camera angle was
on the white line.
Yeah. Go on, Ed.
So how much damage did he take here? The front wing's gone. Whole right-hand side of the car got a hefty whack, so I'm surprised if he's able to get that back to the pit. His race is over either way, but clearly he wants to just
officially out.
End it on his own terms. Yeah, there we go. The steering will be completely buckled on the front right.
Is he out of the car? Yeah, he's getting out. He couldn't. He tried to restart it, but couldn't. I think he's got it to where the crane is.
Was that just him trying to get out of the barrier, maybe?
Yeah, I think yeah, he's pulled it to where the crane is. So that's kind actually from Carlos Sainz. He's put it down the track, so the crane didn't have to come across the circuit. So yeah, not bad. But yeah,
so some quick thinking, but could potentially have been dangerous if he's not got full steering, having to go across the track. But yeah, either way, a bit of a disappointing way for Sainz's race to end.
Oh yeah.
I did think he was being a bit cautious behind Perez, but clearly not cautious enough.
So Lewis Hamilton just asked, "Why am I slow?" That's because it's a safety car, Lewis.
I thought he was getting quite quick since the red flag. Good point there, Max. Hey, Ben Schneider in the chat just saying, I thought the regulations mandated a standing start. This is insanity. In very wet conditions, we can either have a rolling start or a standing start. So I think I better just make that clear.
I think the race director does have their own discretion there, so that's probably the right point. And this would actually launch Alpine to 6th in the Constructors' Championship from 9th, which is quite amazing. Past Haas, past RB, and past Williams.
That is insane from Alpine. They're having a great day. They just need to stay on the road, and they've got this.
Having a very lucky day so far. Gasly did qualify pretty well, and then Ocon's been the luckiest.
This is what I'm saying, mate. One lap, things could look rosy. Next lap, we're all bunched together. Anything can happen. Still a very, very long way to go. Keep your head down, keep focused. 29 laps remaining.
That's the message.
And incident involving car 55 Sainz has been noted, with him crashing into the barrier. Though why it feels the need to note that, I do not know. What are they going to do? Penalise the water?
Yeah. It's the...
Was it him getting out of the barrier and going slightly across the track to get out of danger?
They might see it as him continuing with assistance. Norris.
Lando, there's been lots of offs. Most of them are white lines.
Stay off.
Yeah, stay off the lines.
How is that helpful for Norris to know? Because he knows the white line's dangerous. And look at him going over it now.
He's getting dangerously close. Just like, do you know what? I'll stay off the white lines if I want to stay off the white lines.
It's even under the safety car he's doing this as well. And Verstappen in second with a free pit stop effectively. It just helped him massively. Verstappen's going to win this race, by the way, from 17th on the grid. Let's just...
Well, it depends. He's still got to pass Ocon, and Ocon doesn't like him very much, as we know very well.
Remember 2018 here at this very circuit.
I was talking about that during the red flag.
Ocon is the type of driver who, if he feels like he needs to, he will ram you off the road, even if he rams himself off too.
Funnily, so is Max.
Yeah. Surprising they don't drive as
When
much.
an immovable object is an unstoppable force.
Yeah.
We're about to find out at the Brazilian Grand Prix at Sao Paulo. So...
But then again, I don't think he'd want to give Gasly the win.
Safety car is in this lap. Gasly would have his second career win then.
There is another band of rain potential for the end of the race.
Well, isn't that just fantastic?
Safety car is in this lap, and we are going to be racing with 28 laps to go. And this is literally 2003 all over again. It's quite fun, actually.
We may as well just flip a coin. See who wins.
Except we had refueling in 2003, which made it even more chaotic because a bunch of the back market teams fueled all the way to the end, and it was just a race of survival. And so Fisichella got lucky, but everyone at Minardi always claims, oh, Verstappen or Wilson would have won if they hadn't binned it in the lake coming out of
wouldn't have.
Curva del Sol.
Yeah. So Verstappen would have won it before as well. So could have, would have, should have.
And of course, Barrichello ran out of fuel as well, just after taking the lead in his home race because they didn't fuel properly coming out the final stop for Ferrari, or they had a fuel pump problem or something.
Barrichello never went well. He has had multiple poles but never got it. So
Well, he had loads of bad luck. He had a lot of good races here, but he never got the result that he really deserved. He never finished on the podium. I think his best was 4th. It's a bit like Jenson Button at Silverstone.
here we go again then for a safety car restart. It's another effective rolling start, except this time you don't have to mandate positions. When is Esteban Ocon going to hit the pedal? We're coming out of Junção, and Verstappen is going to try and intimidate Esteban Ocon here, but you can't go alongside him. Esteban knows the rules. Gasly's there too. Green flag is in the air. Verstappen's pulling to the outside. He's going to wait for Esteban to hit pedal to the metal, but there's no overtaking to the start-finish line. Ocon dictates the racing speed. When's he going to go for it? Here we go now! Green flag, and Verstappen's gone with it, but he got caught up in the rain. Ocon gets a much better exit. Hamilton.
Look at Russell.
And Russell's going round the outside as well. It's 2-1 off Gasly, and it's all 5 wide. Omi wanted 5 wide. You've got it, Omi. And off. Lando Norris. He's gone wide at turn 1. He's going to have to cut the corner. Verstappen takes the lead.
Verstappen takes the lead.
He's got ahead of Esteban Ocon. Norris comes out behind. Piastri only loses 1 place. Here comes Tsunoda!
No, he's in front. He's in front. No, now he's back.
Piastri's back ahead, yeah. Verstappen leads the race. The fans go nuts. And Alonso's twitching on the grass.
Oh!
And he's battling with Tsunoda. Hamilton's in there with Lawson. What a restart. And Lawson's not
It's
giving
good
up.
restart for Leclerc and good restart for Alonso as well because he's got back past Hamilton.
So, fabulous restart. Max Verstappen leads the Brazilian Grand Prix. Lawson's on the inside line. Hamilton is going to try and send him in on the inside. Hamilton's locked up. Hamilton nearly runs at the back of Alonso. He makes a mistake. Alonso and Hamilton down. And through goes Lawson into 9th. And Perez comes through. He's bringing with him Ollie Behrman. Behrman to the inside of Hamilton now. Down into into Magullo at turn 10. And he's going to get ahead. Hamilton struggling through Magullo. Ed, this is unbelievable stuff.
I thought Norris had a bad restart. Hamilton's put him to shame here, although he's fighting back against Behrman into Junction and takes the insiders off track as Alonso.
Alonso's off the track. Alonso's off the track, and he'll run down the back of the field. Here comes Russell on the clear to the inside line in turn 1. Can't make a move. Alonso's off the circuit.
Incident involving car 55 signs will be investigated after the race.
I don't know what that's for. He's crossed the circuit, hasn't he? Yeah.
Also, receiving help.
Yeah, receiving the outside assistance. So, Hulkenberg got black flag. Alonso's still there. Has Alonso moved?
He's still going. Yeah, he's only 16 seconds down there.
Slowly.
Yeah, slowly he is moving, but Alonso has had a problem out there. What drama in the Sao Paulo Grand Prix here in Brazil. Verstappen leads. Ocon 2nd, Gasly's 3rd, Leclerc 4th, Russell 5th, Piastri 6th, Norris is 7th, and this was Alonso.
Who was next to him?
He's just gone off on his own with Perez.
Yeah, that's happened ahead. Yeah.
Just run off, outbraked himself.
And doing some donuts.
Oh, and he
spun.
Yeah.
He spun for good measure.
Wet grass head, so that's like, well, you know, that's like.
In terms of the championship, that was probably as bad as it could have gone for Lando Norris, that restart. So Verstappen breaks really late, gets past Esteban Ocon, who plays fair into turn 1 on this occasion. And now Verstappen's leading by 2 seconds, whereas Norris is now behind his teammate Piastri at another needless mistake. Admittedly under a lot of pressure at that restart, but he just went straight on, braked way too late into turn 1. And stuffed it all up. So now, is Piastri going to let him through? Piastri will say, well, Norris is going to lose the championship anyway, so there's no point because he's driving so badly. But yeah.
There's almost a thing that's like, do we need to keep that place back? I think that they do because Verstappen's still leading this race. But Verstappen could still bin it. But now, the wet weather master is in control. 2.2 seconds a gap already to him and Ocon. Verstappen can now sail off into the distance. He started this race 17th. What else? A way to announce that you're back racing, then to come back from 17th and take the lead of the race and win it and reclaim your first win since June. It's now November.
Well, if you don't count the Austin sprint race that he'd also won.
Yeah.
So he caught a wet patch.
He just got on the white paint, didn't he, Norris?
And he was just told to stay off it as well.
He did well
exactly.
to keep up, though.
Yeah, it came back in behind Piastri, but yeah, Red Bull were cheering on that one because they were seeing that fact that Verstappen got ahead of Ocon. Ocon was too cocky there at the restart. He went too late and he allowed Verstappen to go with him, and that's what gave him the traction. So there's more raining coming, but they're slipping off everywhere as the tyres become slick to mediums again. Look at the dust still. It's not as bad as what we had at the start, but there's still a lot of spray hanging around. Verstappen on 1:22.876, the fastest lap of the race so far, as Perez now closing down on Lawson.
It was a very telling reaction from the Red Bull mechanics they cut to during that replay. They cannot believe not only that they're leading the race, but also that Lando Norris is handing this Drivers' Championship to their man, Max Verstappen. So they don't seem to be that fussed about losing the Team's Championship if they can still win the Drivers.
Oh, there you go, Ed. Swap positions. So the order's been given, and it's been followed. Piastri pulls to the right-hand side. Norris goes through, and Norris now inherits 6th position from Piastri. The team order has been given. Kind of had to be, didn't it, really? But yeah. Russell's passed Leclerc.
And Russell's got past Leclerc.
How did that happen?
Somewhere in the middle sector, I think Leclerc made a mistake. He's right ahead of Norris now. So Norris all of a sudden has gone from being about 2 seconds behind to suddenly being right in the thick of getting back into 50.
Yeah, Leclerc's made a massive mistake somewhere on this lap time to let them all through, and now Norris can sense it coming. He needs another safety car. Max is now 3 seconds cleared to Ocon.
He did not get that quick enough.
There needs to be a safety car.
I think another safety car would really help after his restart from the previous one. Max would just pull away again.
Leclerc's been noted.
Max to crash out.
Leclerc's been noted, Ed, for a rejoin unsafely at turn 4.
He left?
Apparently that's what must have caused the problem.
He must have gone off track and onto the runoff on the outside then, while fighting with Russell. And that's how it was let Russell through.
Norris trying to pull to the inside line. Not do it there. Back out, regroup, reshape, go again. Megan, you said 10 cars might finish, and Omi said similar. 5 cars are already out.
Actually, Elliot said that.
Elliot said it too, just 10.
Yeah, I asked him, how many cars do you think will not finish? He said 10.
5 down.
Yeah.
5 to go with 23 laps remaining here in Sao Paulo. Let's have a replay.
So lucky we didn't lose Bam and Alonso.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and Joe for good measure, actually. Let's have a look. He got on the dirt, slapped it. Yeah. That's aquaplane, I think, Ed, there.
That was like mid-corner, wasn't it? Yeah. And look, just enough space left for Russell, and then he suddenly finds himself under attack. It's a shame McLaren let Piastri through, had Piastri let Norris through, because if they'd not done that, they could potentially have gotten past Leclerc with him as well.
Both drivers, yeah. So that's...
Oh, no. Piastri would definitely have gotten through, along with Russell, because he was within that sort of period. And now they're both trapped behind the Ferrari, so... Yeah. If anything, McLaren... But they couldn't have predicted that would happen to Leclerc, so...
Wrong time. I see what you mean now, yeah. Wrong timing for the pair of them. Fastest lap for...
And it would have gained Piastri a position, wouldn't have helped Norris much.
It's actually getting a bit dry around there, to believe it or not. We've got a 1:22.453 for Verstappen. He's set his fastest lap of the race so far. So we've got 22 to go. Gap 393 to 331 in the championship.
62. So it was 35 earlier on.
How the mighty have fallen. It could have been a title fight. Now, I believe, Lando Norris, so Max Verstappen could win the title in Vegas next time out.
How has he lost 27 points?
That mistake at the restart and then the red flag sort of benefiting Verstappen for a change. But do you reckon that we'll see a title decided in Vegas?
Well, he would need 75 points, wouldn't he, with
Plus
3 races remaining.
And
Max gets to 62, then we're sort of within that territory, aren't we?
So, Viva Las Vegas could be Max's 4-time
Norris
championship.
going wide.
Well, it could be today if Lando makes constant errors like this.
Yeah, he really hasn't been good enough for someone fighting for the World Championship. He's had some good performances here and there, like Miami, he didn't really put a foot wrong, even though the safety car came out at exactly the right time for him. I still maintain Piastri did a better job that day. Zandvoort, Norris was absolutely stellar that day.
Singapore too.
Despite making a terrible start. Singapore as well. That's only 3 races, whereas Verstappen, pretty much the first 5 or 6 races, he was brilliant. He had that brilliant sprint race in Kota as well that helped limit the damage. And yeah, Verstappen has maybe pushed the rules a little bit, but he's still an absolutely brilliant driver, isn't he? As I try and forget about the light hanging over me. Because it's now actually gone dark. I actually need the light on, otherwise I wouldn't be able to see anything in here. But
you look fine, Ed.
But yeah. Yeah, as for Alpine, they'll still get plenty of points from second and third. It's just instead of getting 40 points, they'll get 35 points, which I think would still be enough for sixth in the constructor, because it would have been a 10 point. It would be just a 5 point with RB, I think, or is it Haas?
Haas,
either Haas or RB.
It'll be Haas.
Yeah, Haas.
And Aston Martin even, they'll jump. They'll be right behind them.
Ronnie Behrman is only a couple of seconds away from the final point, held by Perez at the moment, so he's not out of it yet, bizarrely, despite going off a couple of times.
He's outraced Hulkenberg though, which is all he could do. But I feel like Hulkenberg was a bit. They've remembered the graphics exist. Oh, briefly.
Hulkenberg made one error, and it was an error that got him effectively disqualified, or a position where he either had to retire or be disqualified, and he chose the latter, sadly.
Yeah, gaining an advantage as well. 1:22.241 now. Verstappen with a new fast lap with gap 5 seconds to Esteban Ocon as well. Everyone on the intermediate tyres since the restart, and the red flag and the restart came in. About 20 laps to go, 20 to go, and there's more rain apparently starting to come in. Winds picked up to 1.4 km/h, this time blowing in from the west, and the humidity, Megan, starting to drop. Is that a good thing?
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
Humidity rising.
The thing is,
right, go on,
if the rain picks up and we get into full wet territory, everyone is just going to stay out on the inters, because they saw exactly what happened during the first red flag, that there's no point pitting. Because if the red flag comes out, the conditions get set. The full wet tyre is basically useless in Formula 1, because it's the amount of monsoon weather we're getting with climate change happening, especially, means that the full wet tyre is built for a world in which we actually get on top of global emissions, and it seems there's nobody here in Formula 1 with the will to do that, and even less so in Formula E, sadly. But I think. Yeah, anyway, it's just it is Remembrance Day, and I just seem to be reminding everyone about the climate crisis. But but anyway, I think the full wet tyre, there's no point changing to it, because the moment you do, the race gets a red flag. So they may as well just stick it out on inters and hope you don't bit it in the wall, which I think is incredibly dangerous, and really shows that either Pirelli need to up their game or somebody else needs to take over as the control tyre supplier in F1.
I agree with you, Ed, because that blue wet weather tyre needs to be used, isn't being used. Turn points involving Leclerc reviewed, no further action for rejoining unsafely, and it's a 1:22.043 for Verstappen, who's got the fastest lap of the race so far. Did Norris go off there?
No.
Looked like he went wide.
Saved it.
Right, he snapped it then. Lando, just be careful. Going too wide, braking in phase 4. It's turn 4, focus on phase 2 braking pressure. So don't go off, basically. Don't continue throwing it off.
How has he lost 4 seconds?
I know, I reckon Lando's made a mistake. He was right on the back of Leclerc, and now he's 6 seconds behind him.
Actually, I think
he isn't. That's Leclerc that's dropped off the throttle.
Oh, right, Leclerc. Oh, right. Well, someone's made a mistake. Someone went off at turn 1. I saw it with my eye. I'd love to see if there's a replay.
Max is gaining time.
Max is 6 seconds ahead from Ocon now, and Ocon's 3 seconds ahead to Gasly. So they're starting to come through. Yeah, so this is getting an interesting little battle with rain. Well, it is coming, isn't it? We already.
Yeah.
I hope we don't have a red flag. Yeah. Now, forget past lap 53. Oh, hang on. I've cursed myself. That's Piastri going wide. And he's going to get out just ahead of Tsunoda. So, brief double yellow before going track clear for Piastri. Blimey.
So close.
It looks like a very demoralised Oscar Piastri after having to let his teammate through. And now here comes Tsunoda around the outside. He's got much better momentum, but he's forced to the outside by Oscar Piastri and has to tuck back in.
Yeah, can't get the switcher back for Tsunoda, unfortunately. So, acceleration down the retroposter. It's going to be all his. Can't see that just now Piastri has lost that lap time for track limits. He has got ahead of Tsunoda as well. Yeah, now
he stayed ahead of Tsunoda.
Yeah, lap 53 was where we had a red flag in 2003 where the race got stopped due to an incident. So let's hope we get past that, because this race so far has been very like that one. Let's have a look at Piastri now. I think he's going to break himself, Ed.
Yeah, he's well away. Yeah, it's the front left locks up. And look, we even get a graphic telling us exactly how much time he lost compared to his average lap time, which is 2.83 seconds. Although, of course, that was just the corner itself, and doesn't count the momentum he lost all the way down the straight as well. So the gap between himself and Norris is 3 seconds at the moment. I think it was 4 seconds initially. Russell's caught up to Pierre Gasly. So as the track continues to dry, and Russell has a great chance to get up to third or maybe even second here if he can clear Ocon.
I wonder if we're going to see anyone risk dry tyres towards the end, just in case.
It's going to rain towards the end, remember?
I don't think we're going to get on dries at all, which is great because it's a full wet race. But
yeah,
it's been a crazy day, hasn't it, in this one? Where it's red flags.
I wouldn't rule it out if the sun comes out especially. But yeah, at the moment, we're looking into to the end.
Do you remember Adelaide 1991? Red flagged it after 2 hours delayed, and then as soon as they red flagged it, it turned into a really sunny day.
And then a weather update on lap 60. We expect Class 1 to Class 2 rain to last for about 4 laps.
That's heavy rain. Light rain to heavy rain.
No, that's light rain. That's drizzle.
Yeah, but into... well, that's what they said about the previous one. They meant to red flag the race. I'd still say it's going to be interesting. It's going to be tight.
I guess we won't know till it gets here, will we?
Which is in 7 laps' time. This is lap 53, by the way, of 69.
Lawson holding up Perez a lot more than I thought he would, even after Mexico. But it's clear he wants that seat, doesn't he?
Get that finger.
And Hamilton waiting at wings too.
He's seeing just targets lining up behind him. You know him and anyone over 33. He just likes to gun through him. And he's got 2 targets behind him.
It's not that he wants that second Red Bull seat at Perez, it's that he thinks Perez is too old, and it's a Logan's Run sort of thing for Liam Lawson. Eliminate them.
Hamilton was slow coming out of Juncker as well. Perez has got the run on Lawson now. No DRS in this race, it's all been... There's so much water around there. Norris is 20 seconds now behind Verstappen, by the way. Perez very late into turn 1. That's a risky one. Has to back out of it. That was too far. Lawson knew it was coming as well. Sort of put the car exactly where it needs to be to go defensive. Perez is going to be on the attack. Time and time again.
It didn't look defensive to me. That looked to me like just not being intimidated, because I think Perez was going to go let on the brakes and hope that Liam Lawson would just dive out of the way, and he didn't. So that was Perez's one tactic, and it's failed.
Right. Okay. People who seem to be improving.
Yeah.
No one.
No one.
Apart from Perez and Hamilton, but that's just because they got the challenge of Lawson for them.
7 seconds to Verstappen and Ocon, 3 seconds between them, and then the closest on battle is Perez and Hamilton, which we're watching now. Yeah, everybody's saying McLaren weather's update says it's coming soon. Ferrari say it's coming now. 15 laps to go. Anything can happen.
It's going to be in between them. It's like Goldilocks.
It's coming. You can see it visibly on the top of the screen. So it is time to blow in. Way up. That was a bit of a mistake there from Lawson. Perez going to hound him now for that one. Out of the last corner, over through the boxes, down across the pit lane. And now Lawson has to go defensive. Perez is going to be right there to capitalise. Pulls to the outside line, does the switcheroo to the inside. Perez going to have no brakes. Lawson's going to have to know he's there. They go side by side. Lawson keeps him around the outside. Perez and him touch wheels, and Lawson stays through. Here comes Hamilton round the outside. And Curva de Sol down the Retro Buster.
What a move.
It was great from Lawson as well, wasn't it? It was like Montoya defending against Schumacher. Perez kind of things locked up now into Cristina de Lager. And he's off.
That was a very Verstappen. And through goes Hamilton.
Hamilton into 10th. Him and Perez touched dead, and that was a bit close to being both of them out of the Grand Prix. But as you say, through goes Hamilton.
Yeah, and that defense from Lawson, I say that was very Verstappen-esque.
Yes.
The way he just lifted off the brakes and just extended into the braking zone, so he would still have the inside for the second part of the corner, as we see Russell continuing to shadow Gasly. And to Gasly's credit, he's not really been able to keep up with Ocon, but he's not made any big mistakes here. And George Russell, really of the front runners, Leclerc, Norris, Piastri have all sort of blown it here, and Russell's the only one that sort of kept his head, which is surprising, because I did sort of predict that Russell would be the one that would mess up, like he usually does in these sorts of conditions. But so far, he's sort of had the win taken away from him through pitting when he didn't want to pit, essentially.
Yeah.
And now he's sort of fighting for a consolation podium here.
We're going to quickly hand over to Omi and to Ed. Omi, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. We're going to go say goodbye to Zion Elliott. So I'll hand quickly over to you for a few laps.
Yep. Here we go then. Norris continuing to try chase down Leclerc. 1.4 seconds is the gap between the two of them as well. And we right now find ourselves with the McLaren driver who's just keeping the gap over 1 second right now. So it's unfortunately not what he would want. And then of course you had the mistake from Oscar, which dropped him a further 2.2 seconds back. But he's got away from Yuki Tsunoda though. And then this is the replay. Perez selling the dummy, throwing one to the inside, and Lawson not giving up. Driving to the side of me is the message here. There's of course and Megan not here to play the radio at this stage, but luckily we got it in text.
Yeah, I think probably the right move from Liam Lawson. He can't really afford to show any weakness on track, can he? Especially when Tsunoda's been taking some of the spotlight away. He's got to put in some defensive drive to at least get some headlines by holding off Perez again for the second race in a row. But as we look at George Russell trying to close in on Gasly, he's got the gap to 8 tenths per second as Hamilton continues to, now it's his turn really to harass Liam Lawson for that 9th position, get a few extra points for Mercedes, although Lewis is sort of just counting down the races, 3 more races for Mercedes after this before he can focus on his 2025 campaign with Ferrari. Although speaking of Ferrari, Leclerc has not really made much impact. He started 6th on the grid, has made a couple of mistakes and has only really been able to recover up to 5th. It was that early stop for the Inters before the safety car and red flag that really Leclerc sort of ended up roughly where he was, wasn't he? And he's not really been able to make much progress, whereas George Russell might still have a chance here. So I would actually say, apart from Verstappen, I think Russell has been the other standout today in terms of just being able to do a good job on track and standing up to a lot of pressure from Norris, who looked very quick in that first stint.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ferrari just doesn't seem like in the wet had the pace also yesterday.
Well, it crashed out in the hands of Sainz, didn't it? So
yeah, and then in the dry yesterday, weren't able to really keep up for the entire duration. So not what we saw in Mexico or Austin for them. But the driver that's got 14 podiums so far in his career wants to try make that 15 by getting past Pierre Gasly, who is right now putting 2 Alpines on the rostrum as Hamilton continues to get closer to Liam Lawson as well. But you're really going to have to try and be very close if you want to get past Liam Lawson. He's not going to make it easy for you, and you can see that he is prepared to go all the way to the white line wherever he can. Oh. And you can see how they're really trying to apply the power.
Oh, and Lawson has a little snap coming out of Curva de Sol as well, but he saves it quite tidily. The problem with Lewis is he's not really got the top speed without the DRS to potentially allow him to launch past Lawson, and so he's sort of stuck in a kind of bottleneck here.
Yep, absolutely. As it seems like Joe's just got behind Alonso, so that's Fernando Alonso upper place, and Joe back to last position, so that's Joe who's managed now to drop down to P15. Bottas currently running in 13th. On lap number 58 out of 69. Ooh. With still some weather predicted. And here we go, trying to go the long way around. Sergio Perez versus Lewis Hamilton, and Hamilton just stays ahead.
Or into Pico de Pato. Perez just gets off and just about avoids having his front wing taken off there. So Perez getting a little bit cheeky here, and they can't really afford to fight because they're in the final points paying position is Lewis Hamilton, and Perez at the moment. Yeah, because that move on Liam Lawson didn't work, it's really hurting him in this race. This has been, considering Perez started ahead of Verstappen, he had plenty of chances to improve his race here, and it's not really worked out for him. And I have to say, going back to Lando Norris, that a lot of the great champions, that even on a bad day, they are able to at least, when the luck doesn't go their way, they are able to at least use their pace to make the difference and get past a couple of cars, whereas Norris, if anything, has just lost ground. He really should be, at the very least, in 4th right now, where George Russell is, which he would have been had he not blown that restart after the red flag, and potentially should be the one challenging Gasly right now. So even if you take into advantage that there's been some luck for Verstappen, Norris has not really been driving like a champion today.
Yep, absolutely. Lots argue. It's been across other rounds as well, and Max Verstappen proving once again on his way for this championship. Brilliant driving today, making his way up through the field, and then of course getting past Esteban Ocon to take the lead, and ever since then given clean air, is absolutely dominating. Norris meanwhile not even able to stay on the back of Leclerc. He's dropped 2 seconds back. Russell still around the 8 tenths, 9 tenths, so it's still the same gap between those two.
Of course, the other thing is you can't afford to stay too close for too long unless you've got a pace advantage, because you've got loads of spray being kicked out of you, even though it is starting to lessen as the race goes on. But we are not going to end before it gets to dry conditions. That is 100% certain, especially down this main straight, as Hamilton a little bit closer than on previous occasions, but not close enough to risk a dive on Liam Lawson into turn 1.
Yep, so not close enough to make any sort of moves there, as Hamilton continues to get close, was finding himself trying to defend from Perez. Liam Lawson doing a brilliant job right now, defending against Perez, defending against Hamilton, and once again Hamilton finds himself trying to get out of the slipstream, and he is also trying to catch some of those wet patches, Josh.
Yeah, really aggressive attacking, isn't it, at the moment from Hamilton and Perez? They're really fighting each other hard. We'll just say goodbye to Zara and Elliott. Megan is just saying final goodbyes, and then she'll be back in the last couple. No sign of this rain yet, Ed, then, that we've all been looking at, but Perez and Lawson reviewed, no further action.
I was a bit sceptical about that, because that came from the Ferrari pit wall, which tends to not be accurate when it comes to weather predictions. But Verstappen continuing to just run away with this race. We did sort of think maybe Ocon might be able to hold on, but that safety car for Sainz really put it back into Verstappen's. I think it was always going to go this way once tyre wear became a factor, that the Alpines were going to run out of tyres here. And Gasly's actually doing very, very well to keep Russell at bay for as long as he has. And that's going to be the main battle, I think, in this final stint here, whether Russell can get onto the podium, whether Gasly can hold on like he did here in, was it 2022? Oh, that'd been 2020, actually, wasn't it? Where he went back to Toro Rosso and then just beat Hamilton to the podium.
2019. 2019. He finished second in 2019. Yeah. His first ever podium, along with Carlos Sainz's first ever podium that day, actually, as well. Sainz now one of the out racing as well. Hamilton stuck behind Lawson, as you say, for 4 tenths. Looks like that's going to confirm no. It's been an odd day. Alonso's gone off for track limits again on the previous lap, so that's swapped back. But right now, no sign of the rain. Now, they said it was going to be with 8 to go. We're getting into lap 62 now. I can't see anything happening. That's where McLaren also said it. And there's no concerns on tyres. Joe can push a little bit more, but Joe did go off the circuit as they came in. Let's hear from Lando now.
Lando, Oscar behind you has a 10-second penalty. We want, therefore, you to get close to Leclerc.
What do you think of it? I'm trying to go as quickly as I
so
can.
well done to the Alpine.
Right, that's Piastri's 10-second penalty still coming in. He just mucked that lead up so much at the moment.
So he couldn't have served it under the BSC like I said he couldn't.
Yeah,
that's why they swapped.
Yeah, that's why they swapped.
They haven't left quite yet.
They'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Norris sounds like a beaten man in that radio there.
He knows it's over, doesn't he? That's the one disadvantage.
All but.
It's so sad, this whole situation.
There is still a chance he can win the championship. If Max has bad races.
For the next 3, and Max has a chance to wrap
it's
it
a sprint
up.
too.
Yeah, but Max has a chance to wrap it up in Vegas. Nah, Max is champion next time out. It's over.
Next year!
The Constructors is the battle that is going to be watched.
Lando didn't start actually getting into the championship until he won in Miami.
Yeah.
So he's done pretty well regardless. I mean, next year with a full year of actually being consistent.
This year to me seems like a rookie year for him in terms of running for a championship.
Yeah, we saw it before happen.
He's been in F1 how many years now? Since 2019, Norris, so that's 5 seasons. We didn't have this sort of thing with Verstappen where 2016 when he moved to Red Bull mid-season where he's like, oh, well, we'll give him a bit of a trial period. Not only did he win his first race there, but he was incredibly impressive for his 16, 17 and 18 and
Alonso
19.
was in it for quite a few years before he won his first championship.
Yeah, it's going for a title is all I'm on about.
And he had a practice year, didn't he?
Yeah, okay. Okay, when did Verstappen, how many seasons did he get to by the time 2021? So it was, he did 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And 20, he was fighting for the title, but unfortunately the Mercedes was so far ahead of everything else.
He was in it about the same time.
He could do it most races for 2nd or 3rd.
So it's around about similar times, isn't it?
Yeah, so next year will be Lambo's year. Well, and then the year after that will be Leclerc's year.
Alonso's sort of Benjamin Button, isn't he, of F1, because he had his best season. He about he did 2001, missed 2002 because he didn't get a seat. As we get the outstanding penalty graphic, which they were looking for an excuse to use, and it's of Oscar Piastri this time. I wonder if that's going on the wanted poster wall somewhere in the local Wild West sheriff or the saloon. But
JT's framed Max Verstappen, you know. It's printed out, it's framed, it's on his commentary desk.
I guess there'll be someone who doesn't like Oscar Piastri who'll be putting that in their dungeon or something. That's sort of pride of place. But maybe it's a Liam Lawson fan, because the New Zealanders apparently don't like the Australians. There's a very long-running rivalry there. So all the Kiwis, their bad luck shrine, I'm hoping that it goes on to Oscar Piastri. Manifest another 10-second penalty for knocking Lawson around. It was for knocking Lawson, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. So they did come to blows, actually. The Aussies and the Kiwis. It's going to be, what was it, where across the line? Where is he, Verstappen? It's coming up, well, 5.5 laps to go now. And Verstappen is 14 seconds ahead. Brilliant day for Alpine here. This is fantastic for them.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if they were still here when we left?
Yeah, it would be. Would be a nice surprise. Zara did not want to be picked up.
No, she did not. I think she could sense it.
The thing is, it's me.
Yeah, she didn't want to go to anything. She went to Kellyanne easily enough.
Yeah, well, it's a mum.
She immediately tried to walk to her. Of course, it is a mum.
Alonso has a lap time deleted again. As 5 to go, as Verstappen has a 1:21.029. Fastest lap of the race so far. It's just getting quicker and quicker and quicker between them all.
Can I just say about Alonso, by the way?
Yeah.
I feel like we were too harsh on Lance Stroll, because that Aston Martin has looked absolutely undrivable.
It has
I don't blame Lance for dropping it on the way to the grid, because it just looks in the wet like that thing is impossible to drive. And there we go. We get an update in the championship. Alpine would be 3 points ahead of Haas, so still up to 6th from 9th. But with 3 races to go, that could be a very, very tight battle between them, RB, and Haas.
The Constructors' Championship is the one that we're all going to be going potty about till Abu Dhabi, aren't we? It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Alpine have clawed themselves back into it after a really bad opening part of the season. They've had a miracle here today, and they've thoroughly deserved it as well. It has been brilliant. There is Pierre Gasly. He's going to hold off for 4.5 more laps to George Russell, who's in 4th, on board with Lewis Hamilton, trying to attack Liam Lawson once again. Lawson in 9th, Tsunoda 8th. It's going to be fantastic rivalry. And in this, we've got Perez in there too. He's half a second back. It's all go today, isn't it?
It is. And fastest lap again goes for Verstappen with 1:20.980. Honestly, he might win this.
990.
990, so.
Win what? The championship or the race?
Race.
He's definitely going to win the race. He's 15 seconds ahead with 4 to go.
You never know, though. For it does seem to have dried out considerably.
It'd take him smashing it. And the track has dried out. It's now intermediates. There's no more rain. It's just going to stay a miserable, damp day.
I'm wondering who to vote for driver of the day. I'm tempted to go for Russell, simply because no one else is going to go for him. But I think most people are going to go for either Verstappen or Ocon, aren't they? I feel like, as much as Verstappen's done a brilliant job, there was a big dose of luck that helped him in this one. I feel like Russell's had basically no luck and has had to make his own. And against expectations, a lot better than... I think also Lawson defending as well as he has been a great story as well. But I feel like I have to give it to George Russell here.
I'd go for Lawson.
Perez on the back of Hamilton down to the Retroposter. He's going to the inside. There's no room there. Hamilton was defending within the realms of legality, but nothing that Sergio could do to break it.
I'd go for Lawson because he's brought the chaos.
No idea what I was on about there.
I like that phrase you used there, Josh, within the realms of legality.
We'll finish the race for the mechanics.
Oh.
But they did a very good job today. But my back is hurting, man. This bouncing is not normal.
Yeah, it's a track.
Sounds like Aston Martin need a better physiotherapist, because Lewis fixed his back problem, it sounds like, for the most part.
It's the first thing we noticed, didn't we? That when Ocon came out, he was the first one out the track on Friday in practice 1, and we saw how bumpy the track was. And we said that's going to be a problem. And exactly the problem has come.
Yeah, if this was a dry race, how much worse would it have been for Hamilton and Alonso at much higher speeds as well?
That would have been, they would have been out. They would have shattered something.
No wonder everyone's not on top form if their back's all hurting.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And also, Alonso had didn't he have food poisoning in Mexico?
Yeah,
he
had to
gastroenteritis as well. Didn't he was out on media duties here as well on Thursday.
Oh.
It's a long triple header, this one, and it has caught up with everyone. So they're looking forward to 2
You were in
weeks off.
difficulties before the triple header, to
That's
my
true.
recollection.
Yeah.
So it has been a long one.
3 weeks. Yeah, it's been. I'm surprised I've managed to get through it actually. Then we get a little bit of a break. Next week it's just NASCAR, the season finale. So
I think
again,
that's
it's a nice weekend break for everyone, and then we'll go for Macau and MotoGP in Barcelona. Week after, another triple header, Vegas, and then we go over as well to Qatar and Abu Dhabi.
40%.
6% vote for Colapinto. Come on.
He tried.
Oliver Oakes, he doesn't look so daft now, did he? He replaced Bruno Family's team principal after the summer break. Ollie Oakes, Omi. He's going to take a double podium. How happy are you, the former high-tech team principal? He's doing a grand job here today, isn't he?
Absolutely. Done a brilliant job. Penultimate lap of the race, so nearly home as Perez, Hamilton, Lawson continue brawling, and Perez is going to get a chance here to get past Hamilton.
This is going to be for the final points paying position. They've still got 2 more laps to complete. Hamilton goes defensive. Perez launches out of nowhere. Hamilton locks up, and that's going to be quite close to the exit of the Center S. Hamilton's going to be compromised compared to Sergio Perez, who rumbles over the strips in the second part of the Center S. Round the right hand of the Curva de Sol. Down we go once again. The Retroposta into the braking zone. Hamilton defends the inside line. Perez stays behind. Once again, I'll use the frame defending as well nicely with the legality rules. Sir Lewis Hamilton.
It's unnecessary to say that he defended position. We don't I feel like the need to clarify seems almost irrelevant. But yeah. Lewis knows exactly what he's doing, and Sergio Perez, he's getting a bit desperate here because he knows he's not getting any points on a day where Max Verstappen is leading at the front. And this looks very bad for him, to put it mildly.
That's Lawson in 9th, not Tsunoda in 8th. So you were right, Ed. They were fearful of putting up for the wrong graphic. That has happened. Final lap here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Verstappen's already at turn 4. Well, it's been a long time since Spain.
Russell getting a bit closer to Gasly, 8 tenths. Probably a bit too late though.
Yeah, it's 8 tenths, we'll see. Hamilton goes defensive again. Max Verstappen is into Mugello. He's into the last sector now. Here he comes. 11 races ago was the last time he stood on the #1 spot in a Grand Prix. He won the sprint in Austria. He won the sprint in Kota. But the Dutch national anthem has been missing in Formula 1. Ferrari, McLaren and Mercedes had a resurgence. But there's only one man who is unstoppable in the World Championship. Max Verstappen wins once again in Formula 1 for the first time in 5 months. He is victorious on Grand Prix Sunday. Esteban Ocon will finish in a very fine 2nd place that will feel like a victory. And Pierre Gasly rounds out a double podium for Alpine. A superb day for the team who started the championship in the utter despair with the worst car on the grid. They come back here in Sao Paulo with a double podium. The team, the drivers, and Formula 1 are happy. Tsunoda passes Piastri in the line, but it's all eyes.
Piastri got the penalty.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Is Lawson and Hamilton and Perez going to stay? Yes, Perez misses out. Hamilton gets the last point.
Max Verstappen saying simply lovely on the radio message there.
I hope it's a bit more energetic. That has
He
now...
does seem it, yeah.
Noda.
Wow. It's been a long time coming, mate, but boy, was that worth the wait. You are the man.
Oh, yes! What an unbelievable race, guys. You know what that is? Simply lovely. I tell you that.
Surely one of his greatest ever drives in Formula 1 from 17th on the grid in an utterly wet race. He wins by 20 seconds. If ever there was a doubt in anyone's mind if Max Verstappen was a world champion class driver, you've just witnessed. We may moan about his driving standards, but that man is a god.
Zario 10 and P2.
Oh, what a race, guys! Yes!
Well done, mate.
Esteban!
We didn't think we were going to be there, right?
Funnily enough, no, I didn't think so, no. So well done.
Yeah, well done to Pierre and P3. That's amazing, guys.
Yeah, that is.
Formation.
Esteban Ocon finishes in second place. He now goes ahead of the team he's moving to in the Constructors' Championship next year. And Pierre Gasly in third. As is he staying with the team alongside Jack Dillon? I think he is, isn't he? Yeah. Ed, what are your thoughts on the Grand Prix as Max Verstappen back on top for his 8th win of the year?
You can't really take anything away from Verstappen there as he goes to celebrate with the mechanics, jumps into their arms, nearly destroys the barrier, does destroy the Parc Fermé barrier, but they put it up again very quickly. And yeah, rightfully, as you say, Josh, just exceptional feel in these wet conditions for exactly where the grip is. You saw it on that first lap where he gained 6 positions when he went right to the outside of Curva de Sol, and that amazing progress in the first stint really set him up to be able to take that risk when the rain really came down. Of course, they didn't know Colapinto was going to crash out, neither did Alpine either, but the gamble paid off on this occasion, and all 3 of them drove pretty well, but Verstappen gained that 20-second lead. He was absolutely exceptional today on a day where Lando Norris kind of wasn't. And but yeah, so the only other thing that comes to mind is, could this be the last time we see Esteban Ocon on the podium? Because I doubt that Alpine's going to get too many chances in the dry, and Haas have never gotten a podium in Formula 1 before, so yeah, it's a great moment for Esteban Ocon, but it's a little bit bittersweet knowing that his future, he could be going down the grid rather than up, as there's Gasly is first to get to the mechanics, second to Ocon on the road, but first to celebrate.
It's a good news story. It's a good day in Formula 1 as Ocon goes to celebrate with Gasly and the team. Alpine move up to 6th in the Constructors. We'll let Megan go to run in. Megan, what are your thoughts?
I wasn't actually planning to do that yet because I'm pretty sure they left.
I thought you had an essay and I needed your laptop in less than an hour.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to have to do the essay tomorrow.
All right, fair dues.
I was just going to say, I think that not winning for 11 races has really brought back the happiness that Max used to feel with winning races, because that was the first time I've actually heard him feel excited about winning a race in a couple of years.
Yeah, he's actually happy to win that
and it's nice to see that this has brought back the happiness in it.
Christian Horner's smiling, Kelly Piquet is smiling, Max Verstappen is smiling, Helmut Marko is smiling. Utterly brilliant weekend. Well, actually, let's face it, brilliant race day. 17th on the grid, knocked out in qualifying 2, fights back for a race win, all in the space of around about 12 hours.
Yeah, it's for Formula E sort of time scale. Yeah. After qualifying, you wait long enough, the race will come around.
Hey, at least both Max and Lando have won something today.
I mean, what are your thoughts down there in pit lane?
Well, it definitely was a pretty chaotic race. Great to see Alpine getting the podium, and of course Ollie Oaks as well. And yeah, Verstappen, fantastic stuff from him today.
We'll hear from the drivers in our top 3, and then we'll have the podium ceremony. It'll be a quick off because I've got to get on to make the NASCAR show and get that all set up and ready as we're on here at 7 o'clock for that. Myself, Jack, and then JT is going to be joining in soon after as we go into the NASCAR round of 8 finale. After tonight's NASCAR race, we will only have 4 left as we go into the championship at Phoenix next weekend to run for the NASCAR Cup Series champion as well. Gasly and Ocon and Max Verstappen delighted to see each other. A good news story in Formula 1 and a great Grand Prix.
Joe still finishes last.
Is that a Grand Prix of the season, maybe? I'll leave that for Omi and Ed to discuss in the post-show.
Right, I'm leaving.
All right. Cheers, Megs. See you in 2 weeks' time. Actually, get next week off.
Woohoo!
I will see you in Vegas as we hear from Rubens Barrichello.
Hey Max, what an incredible race. Yesterday, did you have any thoughts you might have won today with the weather, or it was tough? It was a tough weekend?
Yeah, I mean, my emotions today have been a roller coaster, you know, with qualifying being really unlucky with that red flag. You know, starting P17, I knew that it was going to be a very tough race, but we stayed out of trouble, we made the right calls, we stayed calm, and we were flying. So all of these things together, of course, made that result possible, but I mean, unbelievable. To win here from so far back on the grid, yeah.
Man, I need to ask you, the first corner, when you went to the inside, you saw there was a lot of grip, and then you started to use that a lot. The overtaking looked fantastic from the outside. Did you know there was a little bit more grip in the inside, because you kept on doing fastest laps and using that line?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's very hard to pass around here with the new tarmac. It's only one line that you can take. But yeah, I just knew that I had to go for it. It's of course always easy to front lock, just trying to balance that out. And I had confidence on the brakes as well, that helps. And yeah, turn one is always a great corner to pass.
Yeah. It was 17 fastest laps, so well done, Max.
Thank you.
You made the crowd stand up all the way.
I hope they enjoyed it.
They did. Thank you. It's good to see you, my friend. It was nice to see you before the race. Did you look like you could have been on the podium since that moment?
I mean, what a day that was, you know, after the difficult season. You know, it's really nice to be driving around here and having, you know, the performance a bit leveled out, you know, on the rain. Someone very important to all of us said a long time ago that, you know, on the rain, the cars are almost equal. And that phrase didn't age at all. And yeah, I'm very happy to be today on the podium. I think it's been awesome, and the support I receive here from all the Brazilian fans is incredible, and yeah, I can't thank everyone enough.
By any chance, you guys work on a setup because you knew it was going to be wet? Did you work a little bit on that because you knew the car was going to be faster in the wet?
No.
No, it was just fast.
The car was extremely difficult, you know, on the dry. And really, you know, I felt at ease, you know, when it started to rain this morning and last night. I really wanted to get some lap on the rain. I love it here when it rains, and yeah, today has brought a special race for us.
Enjoy the party with Alpine. It was great to see.
Thank you, Rubens.
Pierre, what a great race. How tough it was to make that decision to stay on track just before the red flag.
Thank you well. It's incredible for the whole team. You know, we had such a tough season. We've struggled to score points, and yeah, in these conditions, everything was possible. And no, we believed it until the end. 2 cars on the podium. I don't think anyone would have got that on that bingo card, you know, ahead of the season. So it's just fantastic.
So from the car that you had yesterday to the car of today, is just the wet that made it possible?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday the pace on the dry was good. I finished 7th. This morning we had a very poor quali, a couple of incidents. We didn't get a lap in Q2, so we started far, 13th, and managed to make 10 positions. So no, I'm absolutely buzzing right now. I'm just so proud of the team, you know, to overcome such a tough season. And you know, it would have been too easy to give up, but we never gave up. And yeah, here we are, both cars, P2 and P3, a lot of points for the team. And yeah, everybody should be very proud today.
Thanks, Pierre.
Thank you.
Enjoy the time with Alpine.
A 100.
Bad race at all there, Ed. As see replays before we hear from the drivers' top 3. Max Verstappen, 1 hand on the championship. Is he going to do it in Vegas, or do we have to wait in Qatar?
I think he's going to do it in Las Vegas. I think it's inevitable at this point, because he really just needs... he doesn't even need to beat Norris in Vegas. He'll just need a couple more points, essentially, won't he, to get the gap to... Right, well, he'll need to get it It's 65 at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he needs, going into the last 2 races, about a 50 point. Oh no, with fastest lap, it'd be 52 points essentially. So
Plus the sprint.
65 minus 52. Oh, is there another sprint? Okay.
10 points for guitar as well, so it'd be about, what, 62?
8 points.
Well,
Oh,
he's sort of. My point is, he's about 3 points away from the threshold that he needs, isn't he? So
Yeah.
if he finishes ahead of Norris again, and it could happen in Vegas, then it's basically over. So Norris needs to win every remaining race and hope something bad happens to Verstappen, which is not really a strategy. Sooner or later, that strategy falls apart, and it's done so on a couple of occasions this season. So the problem is that Norris is just making too many mistakes right now, and often easy, unforced. Obviously, it was horrible conditions today, but Verstappen on top of them, and Norris never really did, sadly.
Let's hear it for the top 3.
Second restart was good.
You got a point for fast lap as well.
Oh, you did, yes, of course.
In the beginning, I had a really good start. I think I passed like 3 or 4 cars into top one already. Like, I didn't even see him. I didn't even see Checo. No, this was in the beginning. I'm trying to struggle with that.
Each of the top 3.
Yeah. Here I just got stuck because Charles was actually quite decent.
Then I dived into 10, and after that, it's better.
It was the worst time. It's like literally the lap.
And on the Inters, when just before the
that was you were fast.
Scary.
You were fast. You were 4 seconds fast.
I was scared that you were catching. But
I
so I was going fast in the straight line.
Yeah, I was like, I'm catching a bit, Max. I'm happy with that. Yeah, I was like,
you were safe, no?
Yeah. I'm Peter. I'm gonna stay here. And then they told me your lap 4 seconds fast.
I went 4 seconds quicker.
Yeah. Turn 3. I got lining all
That's
the way.
your conditions normally.
Yeah, but I was happy to be in.
Yeah.
I stayed there. Oh yeah, that was right in front of me. Track, and even after the resets, after the red, I was behind you, but I couldn't see anything after turn 3, so I go on that lane.
There's the top 3 then on the podium, and nice to have the return of the Max Verstappen podcast. It's been a while as well. And we'll have the podium ceremony. Alpine get their 5th and 6th podiums as a constructor. Of course, they're not Renault. They are classified as Alpine, so it's a different entry, different team. Pierre Gasly will get his 5th career podium. Esteban Ocon his 4th. Max Verstappen, podium 111. And to go with Grand Prix victory number 62 in his career. A absolutely amazing Grand Prix here in Brazil. Gasly's 3rd, Ocon 2nd. Max Verstappen's on number 1. You may not like it, you may have missed it, you may love it. Whatever your opinions, the Formula 1 anthem is back. The man who dominated last year with 19 victories returns after a race-winning drought of 11 races. Max Verstappen wins the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. And we will hear the Dutch national anthem. And now the Austrian national anthem for Red Bull. Max Verstappen almost looking a bit emotional there on the podium, almost like he's missed this, the laurel wreath trophy presented to Max Verstappen by Ricardo Nunes, the mayor of Sao Paulo, Brazil. He lifts up the trophy and the lion roars once more. What a performance here. The Constructors' Trophy for Red Bull, victory number 121 for them, their 281st career podium as well. Fastest lap number 99, Max Verstappen's 33rd fastest lap as well, looking for some I suppose. As I said, Esteban Ocon in second for his 4th career podium. He'll get second position. They've delayed that Constructors' Trophy a bit much, haven't they? As well, I was already midway through talking about it. They presented in the wrong trophy, I'm being told. Yeah, okay. There you go. Second place to Esteban Ocon. And it will be Pierre Gasly finishing in 3rd. Alpine and Red Bull going to celebrate hard tonight. Ed, this is a good podium. And I think a glorious podium for Formula 1 as well.
Well, it's certainly unexpected. I like that message from Ocon's engineer, kind of summed it up, didn't he? It's just like, you never would have thought we'd do that. And he said, yeah, I didn't think so. I think it's meant to be a laurel wreath trophy, but it looks like a hula hoop to me.
On a day that never dried out, it's time for a champagne shower. What a day we've had here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Max Verstappen now has his first chance to become a 4-time world champion, a club owned by Sebastian Vettel and Alain Prost. He'll have a chance to do it next time out on the streets of Las Vegas. A triple header complete with 3 different race winners. Leclerc, Sainz and Verstappen. But there's one thing. In the rain of Sao Paulo, starting from 17th on the grid, was it ever really in doubt that Max Verstappen would find a way to come through and win for the first time in 5 months? Only one word can describe Brazil: simply lovely.
It's 2 words.
Let's head down to Omi then for the post-race show.
Well, thank you very much. Of course, we are on a quick off, so Ed, I'm just going to get straight away your thoughts on this race and, of course, the whole weekend in general. So, what's your takeaways here from Brazil?
Well, sprint race was sort of in the dry, sort of what we expected. McLaren 1-2 with Verstappen getting that penalty, I think, that dropped him to 4th afterwards. And this one, of course, the penalty coming in, I think the moment we knew it was going to rain in the race, we sort of knew Verstappen had a chance. And in the end, it was sort of the luck went their way with that safety car and then the red flag coming exactly the right moment for them. And George Russell will, I think, forever rue pitting for those fresh intermediate tyres, along with Lando Norris too, probably. But in the end, I think the drive that Verstappen, it would have been really interesting if Verstappen had to overtake Ocon, Russell and Norris. I have a feeling he might have actually still at least been able to get into second behind either Russell or Norris had things played out differently. But we'll never know. In the end, he only had to pass Ocon, and that he did in quite spectacular fashion, whereas Norris lost his composure completely and sounded, like I said, like a beaten man. And even the constructors could still be on for potentially for Red Bull. Ferrari, of course, only got Leclerc home in 5th, so it's sort of roughly in where they were. I think Red Bull, with Verstappen's win and fastest lap, have caught up a little bit to Ferrari.
Oh.
I'm not sure if they're actually ahead of Ferrari at the present moment in the team's championship, but yeah, the big story is Alpine taking the gamble and absolutely paying off. So well done to Ocon, well done to Gasly. I really hope that's not the last time we see Esteban Ocon on the podium, because he's a really, really spectacular driver on his day when circumstances come together, and the opportunity was opened up. Of course, he couldn't keep Verstappen behind at that final restart, but he still did a good enough job, I think. And Gasly, too, to hold up the pressure from Russell, who was quite strong today as well. And I think Russell did win driver of the day in the end, so my vote was not in vain on that front either. So, yeah, I think the only other thing that comes to mind, Liam Lawson and Tsunoda doing very well to hold on to crucial points for RB in that team's championship, holding off Hamilton and Perez, who looked a little bit at sea today, to excuse the pun.
If I could just jump in here, Lewis Hamilton and George Russell have been called to the stewards for tyre pressure checks. Apparently, they've been changed while the wheels were fitted to the car during the red flag period. That's a breach of regulations. And the physical assistants, Hulkenberg's going to have to go to the stewards. They're appealing that black flag, and we're still waiting for Norris, Russell, Behrman, Tsunoda and Lawson's penalties to possibly come through as well. That's now being investigated by the stewards.
A start investigation may well end up being a fine towards the teams rather than the specific drivers. I'd be very surprised if they decide, let's give the whole field either disqualifications or 10-second penalties or something, because it would seem a bit pointless to me.
And Sainz now called for dangerous driving, so it'll be a long evening. We might have to do a special bonus show tomorrow to wrap it all up, because it's going to be a busy night. But yeah, anyway, back to you, Amy.
Yeah, thanks very much, Ed. Of course, also to Jess for earlier on in the weekend, and JT, Megan Birch, and Joshua Birch for what has been a crazy weekend of Formula One. Now, few weeks away, we return for a Saturday night fight in Las Vegas on the 23rd of November. Make sure you join us then. We've completed one triple header, one more to go to crown a champion. Will Max do it? You'll have to join us to find out, and we'll see you in a few weeks when we go racing in Las Vegas. Goodbye.